PSYCH WARD, Book 1 by Ross Alastair Wilson. Read by Shiva Wilson. Part 4. Being called gay when I was expressing what might otherwise be called exuberance, I now see as a strange form of behavioural suppression, a sort of way to make sure no one became too free-thinking, free-spoken and free-behaving. Any form of self-expression that deviated from a strict conception of masculinity was deemed gay, queer, homo, pufter, gaylord, bender, or even girly. Homophobia, in my understanding, in my experience, really had nothing to do with the actual realities of personal sexual expression, but was all to do with maintaining social order and conformity to expressive norms. I believe, when I think hard about it, that what we call madness or mental illness is actually, in every case, an extreme form of expressive individuality that has clashed against a social norm and therefore has been found to be deviant. All mental illnesses are defined in relative contrast to some other condition. Bipolar affective disorder is defined in contrast to a norm where strong emotional swings are not observable. It must be that all mental illnesses are defined in contrast to some implied state of mental health. Therefore, all mental illnesses are defined in contrast to some idealized state of the human being, and all mental illnesses can be seen as a deviation from some prescribed norm. We could therefore say that the mental health crisis is a crisis of the expansion of human mental, emotional, behavioral, and social expression against and transcending over whatever conceptual norms previously restricted expression in those areas. Madness is only mad until enough people accept that the madness is an acceptable, understandable, tolerable, harmless, and normal expression of the human experience. The above was pretty hard to write. It was like crapping out a roast chicken. Normalize that! So the haircut led to my doom because the haircut attracted Cuthbert. Cuthbert fucked my life over and made me go insane. Going insane put me in social conflict with my parents. Being in social conflict with my parents got the mental health services involved. The mental health services got the law involved. I was sectioned and put in a psychiatric ward for assessment with a view to treatment. I was assessed and treated for schizophrenia and depression. I was ejected from the psychiatric ward back into the community, and my life has never returned to the simple normality of having a job, a girlfriend, a band, and some semblance of stability ever since. Haircut equals doom. I swear there was some Greek guy whose hair was the source of all his power, and when he went to his stylist for the first time in years, his life all went to shit. Samson, wasn't it? I can't remember. I've started thinking about that whole Virginia Woolf and To the Lighthouse thing I mentioned in Psych Ward 1. Catharsis through writing, I believe it's called. Well, that's what I'm going to call it just now. Catharsis through expressive writing. Getting it all out of my system. Venting. I genuinely believe and feel viscerally, good word, visceral, I genuinely sense that when Psych Ward books 1, 2, and 3 are all popped out, squeezed out, and are lying around sunning themselves in all their fiery glory, when they're all done and Jim is dead again, happily dead, then something in me can finally rest. Perhaps it's the beast. The beast doesn't really seem all that beastly these days. I feel like we could go up and pet it if we don't scratch our nails down its back like some kind of ravenous sex weasel. I feel like the beast is starting to purr more than it snarls. Blimey, the beast may well be transitioning from the pig hunt, the blood hunt, the cunt hunt to, well, dare I say it, vegetarianism. There used to be a delicate creature we were supposed to be nurturing too. Honestly, though, the creature seems to be getting a bit plump with all the nourishment it's been getting. The delicate, fragile creature is starting to turn into a chubby little oik. Jim still seems depressed. He seems to be casting about his cave in a stink and throwing rat bones about. He's barely even saying "murr" anymore, poor guy. It's almost as if there is some invisible barrier at the opening of his cave. He can see that it's bright and vast outside, but, well, I guess it seems a little too bright and too vast. It looks depressingly glaring, insurmountably incomprehensible. All Jin wanted was for people to stop clubbing each other over the head. How hard can that be? And why won't they listen? He just flung another rat skeleton at the wall, and he sat down in a sulk, back to drawing lines in the sand. Stupid ants. Who cares if they run all over his lines? Anything going on in the ether at the moment? Not much. It seems cold and bare. But that doesn't actually feel like it's a bad thing. I hear a grey, cold noise, but it's magical, you see. It's the sound of winter coming. There's not much floating about in there either, just that silvery grey space and that wintry noise that sounds like wind, rain, traffic, and cold rushing rivers all in one. One noise fits all. Winter is the time where the great mystery of life is stripped bare, and we all remember that indoors is better than outdoors. Strange to think of winter at the height of a particularly hot heat wave of a summer, you might think. But such is nature, always thinking about preparing for and segueing into the next season, ever ready, ever changing, ever present. Where is that Grim Salamander anyway? Slithering off somewhere, no doubt. I'm not sure I trust it. I'm not sure anyone should trust something so slithery. Are you feeling slithered yet? Yes, I can see it now. Crawling all over my potatoes, the slithery little thing. How can I peel my potatoes if there is a slithery Grim Salamander slithering all over them? This is worse than when the pigs all trotted all over the hydrangeas. I tell you that much. I feel like this slithery Grim Salamander is rather problematic indeed. Ross? Yes. Oh, you're there. That's unusual. What, pray, do you wish of me? I don't know, really. I suppose I'm having a bit of a problem. A Grim Salamander, is it? Well, yes, actually. I see. And what, pray, is your problem with the Grim Salamander as such? I don't like it. It's too slithery for you? Yes, far too slithery. I see. Hello? Ah, well, he's gone. I wonder if Aquos is about. Aquos? Chew 9 Jill 18. Eat pigs! Right, let's crack on. Welcome to the day. I feel like a tart's boudoir, full of debauched thoughts and not enough eggs on my sarnie. Yes, let's just write, shall we? It doesn't help that I keep looking out the window like a hamster looking out of his cage and wondering whether I should be roaming free and rustling up whatever hamsters rustle up. Bacon, presumably. Bringing home the bacon. Chomp, chomp. Giant hamsters herding up pigs to munch with giant toothy teeth. The beast could take a giant hamster any day. I think the beast should be self-inflatable like one of those spiky conker-like pufferfish. Fish! How do you feel about that word now? Is the word fish coming into sharper focus for you yet? Do you see the shape of the word, or do you see the image of a fish? People seem larger here in Sainsbury's today, but then maybe that's because they've eaten more than usual. Hi, let's warm up. Here we are. Look around. What's going on? Are you alive inside? Are your thoughts about the world more real than the reality of the world itself? Is there some problem you are trying to escape by reading this? Have you farted enough lately? Remember to masturbate as often as time, space, and the law permits. I'm going to complete these books and then I'll never have to write them again. That's really something, isn't it? I was saying in Psych Ward 1 that this book will help me grieve and move on. Let us pray to the lucky charms leprechauns that it will be so. Make it so. Let it be. May the force be with you. Godspeed, little doodle. Let them eat cake. Let them eat pigs. Amen. So be it. I have to remember that the title of this book is Psych Ward 3, not Write a Load of Nonsense Until Tea Time. Oh yeah, baked beans. Well, yes, I have been farting them out for quite some time now, so the bumhole of my soul is feeling moist with lubricative ease. Let's say that in plain language. The emotional intensity of my trauma is less than it's ever been, and therefore it is easier to write clearly about the events that created the trauma. I could really do with a cigarette though. I'm at Sainsbury's again, by the way. I did mention that in passing earlier, but I'm going to be here for a while today, so you may as well get used to it. People seem more alert, awake, active and dynamic here today. So how come I feel like a toad got run over on my face? Eventually there is nowhere else to go but here. Here is where you are. You are here. It is your nature to always be here. When you move around in the world, you take your here-ness with you. Wherever you go, you can always say truthfully, here I am. Here is not a place. Here is what you are. You cannot escape your here-ness. Wherever you go, trying to escape your here-ness, you still end up realizing, here I am. So be here and take your feeling of here-ness with you so that wherever you move to, wherever in the world you find yourself, you always feel that sensation of having arrived or being at home, being here. Just to be clear, I do not mean here in terms of a physical location. I am not always in Sainsbury's, although some of the staff might tell you otherwise. No, I am not always in one physical place, but I am always here. I am always here as myself wherever I am. Enough. It may well be time for another chapter. Okay, here we go. Another chapter. Do you ever have the sensation that one chapter of your life is coming to an end and another one is beginning? I used to have that sensation quite often when I was driving home to Cuthbert's and pulling up outside the summer house, sitting in the car for a while, listening to whatever new CD I'd borrowed from the library before going in. I still feel like 3 pigeons just crapped on my face to the beat of a death metal soundtrack. Okay, Twonks, I'm going to level with you. There was no psych ward. It was all a dream. It was all a lie. It was all a fabrication of my imagination. Nothing ever happened ever. Still, it was pretty interesting as dreams, lies, and imaginative fabrications go. Apparently, according to some spiritual teaching, the whole universe, the whole world, our whole lives are all just a dream in the mind of God. If that's true, then I want to get to the point where, like in a lucid dream, I get to control what happens just by deciding it with my mind. Yeah, that would be so cool, eh? Seriously, if you happen to meet me one day at a book signing convention, a convention where everyone shows up with a single-minded intent to sign books and have books signed and talk about signing books and books that have been signed, if you happen to meet me at a book signing and you suddenly find that you have mutated into a cat with 4 eyes and only 2 legs, and that you are barking to the tune of Greensleeves while you wait for me to sign your copy of this book, if you meet me there and you find that you have been mutated, well, don't say I didn't warn you. You have been warned. All right, sweethearts. You heard the man and you know the drill. Assholes and elbows. Okay. I've got this. Psych Ward 3. The Revenge. The third one. The second sequel. Prequel to The End. Come on now. Come on, sweethearts. Come on now, let's focus. Come on now, here we are. Come on now, into the page we dive. Come on now, sweethearts. Please, come on. Unfortunately, no matter how hard you clutch at the sky and concentrate your mind, you cannot pull down lightning on demand. Or can you? Jim seems to be sauntering up to the opening of the cave, hands shoved into the hair on his legs as though they were pockets, and whistling, pretending to be casual, trying to sneak a peek around the corner without actually going outside. The invisible force field at the edge of the cave seems to form a straight line on the ground. Personally, I don't know whether it's glass and Jim is being observed in a makeshift cave by a bunch of psychologists and anthropologists after having been found in the ice perfectly preserved and still alive, albeit with a very sore nutsack. Or if he is actually in a real cave in the prehistoric ages and perhaps some alien species has put a polymagnoplasmetheric shield with tiny air holes across the cave entrance. Then again, it could all be in Jim's imagination, and there really is no force field at the edge of his cave. But it really does feel as though it's there. Or perhaps the feeling of there being a force field there is actually the force field itself. I'm not sure, and I'm the author. So what chance do you or Jim stand? Ha ha ha! Complete creative control. Ha ha ha! Anyway, Jim seems to be sort of gingerly tipping his big toe of his right foot out of the cave, over the force field line. Every now and again he's sauntering up to the edge of the cave, hands in his makeshift hairy pockets. Do. And while looking the other way so as to distract whoever may or may not be watching, just gingerly dipping his big toe of his right foot out of the cave. Meh! Yes, it seems Jim has found that in fact nothing bad has happened to his big toe on his right foot, even after he dipped it out of the cave over the boundary line. Well, he'd better sit back down for a while just in case the injury is like those poison berries he ate once, and it takes a little while before it hurts. Could be. Better sit back down and watch the toe intently for a while just in case. Jim then realised that he'd never actually looked at the big toe on his right foot before. Meh? Yes, that is what it really looks like, Jim. Okay, Jim, sorry, but I can't be arsed with you right now. I want to move on to something else. Meh. He seems fixated on his toe anyway and doesn't seem to mind me slinking my words away from his strange journey. Right. So many blank pages. Why? Because. Also, it's my book. If you don't like it, get lost. It's not my fault if you can't tolerate the blankness of a page. You should have thought about that before you went and bought a book with hardly any words in, shouldn't you? Fine, ask for a refund, see if I care. Some people don't recognise a good thing when it's staring them plainly in the face. Tramps you are, all of you. You're all a bunch of uncultured tramp swines. Swines! I'm still a bit fixated on Jim in his cave, if I'm honest with you, which I am. Honestly, though, and I'm being honest with you, you understand? Honestly, though, in all honesty regarding Jim, I've lost the plot, mate. Things were so easy when he was all about standing, Things were so easy when all he was about was standing on a rock, saying myrrh, and then being frozen and being forgotten. Things were simple then. Jim knew what he was about. Jim had a goal. I knew what Jim was about. I knew what Jim was up to. Jim was a metaphor for loss, pure and simple. Lost ideals, lost dignity, lost times, lost ages, whatever. Things were simple then. It was like he lived as a painting or a photograph, you know. He was so real and so strong because he was static, bold, fiery, yet unchanging. People could look to his image and say, yes, that is worth fighting for. Yes, that means something. And now Jim is engrossed in comparing the size of his toenails. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. But, in a way, Jim is more real than ever. Jim is alive and his story continues. But I have literally no idea what he's up to or why. I still want to believe that the painted, fixed version of Jim is the real Jim. Maybe it is. Maybe the fiery, toosely-haired rock proclaimer of meh really was the real Jim, and this cave-dwelling rat hunter and toe-gazer extraordinaire is just a shallow approximation, a shadow of his former self. But, but then, maybe the painting version of Jim is the shadow, the approximation, and this active, furtive, living, curious yet bewildered creature is the real Jim, because this Jim is here now, and the painted Jim is over there on a wall for everyone to ogle at and talk about, but never to actually interact with. Jim lives! Jim lives! Jim is alive inside me! Jim lives! What will he do next? I don't fucking know, okay? Stop asking me to have it all figured out in advance. You are really getting my goat, you are. Put the goat back. We've lost Stanley. He never sellotaped the goat as requested anyway. Toss to Stanley. Toss to him indeed. Toss off, Stanley. Go toss yourselves. Damn goat-wrangling squirrel deniers. Ahem. This, boys and girls, is a long session by Psych Ward 3 standards. It seems that all sorts of things are being unsellotaped here today. Goats, meringue, squirrels, onions, all sorts. All kinds of things can happen if you get too close. What kinds of things, huh? Too close to what, huh? Stanley? Stanley? Sister! Sister! Ward 10! Ward 10! Gavin is shouting again. He carries a little tray with him virtually all the time. This is Ward 12, Heatherwood Hospital, Ascot, Berkshire, England. The year is 2008 CE, and the time is anywhere between 7 a.m. and midnight-ish. Gavin is an inmate, so am I. Gavin described himself to me in one brief 30-second lucid interlude from his barking and jibber-wobble. He described himself as a paranoid schizophrenic. We were waiting in the medication line, and Gavin, seeming to feel a connection with me, quietly told me that he was a paranoid schizophrenic. Giant swirly thing. Okay, I bought 2 bottles of still Scottish mountain water by Sainsbury's. I'm glad it's still Scottish mountain water by Sainsbury's, because I've heard there's some weirdo roaming around mutating things into other things. So thank heavens this is still Scottish mountain water by Sainsbury's. You have been warned. Ahem. Yeah, so I bought 2 bottles of water, a Peptacious Pepsi Max, full of Max, you understand, a carton of Apple J, and a carton of Tropical J. J didn't mind. Those previously aforementioned hitherto listed items were bought earlier. Since buying them, I have drunk the Peptacious Pepsi Max, full to the brim with Max, you understand, and I have also drinkened the 2 cartons of aforementioned separately flavoured J. I have 2 bottles of still mountain water still to get through. Still! Be still! Drink water, it's good for you. Unless it's water out of the tap at my house, in which case it tastes like the tears of a sweaty ox and is to be avoided as much as possible. So last week Thursday I went out on the lash, narrowly avoided being given head by a frisky young homosexual, and ended up back at a random club-dwelling acquaintance's house with a lesbian in tow, a few puffs on a joint, and an expensive cab ride home at 5 a.m. I left my bike an hour's walk from my house and woke up feeling like whatever had run over that toad on my face from earlier had also run over my entire life. What, I ask you, is the point of such things? What, I ask you, is the meaning of such pointless and draining, annoying, inconvenient, and impractically costly misadventures? I'm still going to go out this week, though. As ridiculously pointless and fruitless as that 48-hour period was, as angry as I was at myself for leaving my bike miles away and vulnerable to being nicked, as ill, nauseated, and thoroughly gross and self-harmed as I felt during the hangover, as needlessly expensive as it was, I'm still going to go out this week and do pretty much the same thing again. I am, however, going to fervently endeavour to keep all the good bits of the night, and remove all the shitty aspects as best as possible. The good bits were everything that happened before I accepted the offer from my random club-dwelling acquaintance to buy me a sambuca, and then a tequila, and then, well, to be fair, I don't even know if he bought me a sambuca, but he bought shots, and then we danced around on the stage like idiots for a bit. Marvellous. Party down. Fuck partying, man, it hurts. I should take up backgammon instead. I need a girlfriend, man. Who sits in Sainsbury's cafes writing nonsensical stories about the past? I mean, really? Really, Stanley? Really? Okay, scums. I've only got one bottle of water left, still. I guess that means that today's session is drawing to a close. Aquos? Man, I don't know what's up with him. He seems so submerged all the time at the moment. He seems to be pointing at me and then gesturing, pointing downwards. I think he's trying to tell me that if I want to hear what he's saying, I will have to enter the underwater realm myself. Well, you know what, Aquos? I'm just not ready for it. Sorry, mate. Well, that was disappointing. I can feel Sierros trying to get my attention, but I'm not interested today. She can shove off. Technically, I could do with a sandwich, so maybe I should shove off home myself. Yeah, this is boring, man. Nuts to this. I can't be asked. I'm going to go eat something and then lie around in an empty, sun-scorched field, look at the clear blue sky, and try to feel like a crab must feel inside its shell, snug and safe, with life's nonsense just pinging off with a bounce. Ping! Pubes. I rest my case. Time's up. Catch you later. Crabnoids. Kiss, kiss, kiss. Wed, 10 Jul 2018. Arseburgers. There is a majestically buoyant set of norks attached to a slenderly reclining female. She is stood lugubriating outside her black Yaris, and she is smoking a cigarette. Soon she will have whisked her fantastic set of norks away. Such is the fleeting nature of norks. I can't really date smokers anymore anyway. Too temptatious. Marvellous set of norks, though. Truly marvellous norks. And thus I begin my ham salad baguette and wonder about what the hell I'm going to write next. Let's track back to the beginning. Any old beginning will do. I was 12, she was 13. My name was Ross, her name was Sally. I was at secondary school in Langley, Berkshire, England. So was Sally. I'd been at that secondary school for a year or so. Sally had just arrived. Her family had moved to England from South Africa, and because of the differences in the school systems, she was 1 year older than everyone else in our year group. I'm pretty sure she doesn't remember our first encounter. She was the new girl to me, and from her perspective, everyone else were the new ones. But I remember the day she first came to our school. I did not find her attractive. I found her ugly and gawky looking. It was only much later in GCSE art class that I even started to notice that she existed. I think I primarily started to become more aware of Sally because she was getting top marks in art class all the time, and I was jealous. I had always been the boy with the highest marks in nearly every subject, and I was called a boff because of it. Well, sixth form rolled along, and with it the sixth form common room, a fetid, stinking room filled with pungent teenage odours, boredom, relaxation, conversation, card games, music, food, and beaucoup de flirting. Marvellous. A lot of my sixth form common room activities revolved around flirting or promoting my band by putting up posters, handing out flyers, selling tickets, and generally haranguing people to come to our next gig. I made some spiffing posters, I really did. I suppose I felt a little bit naughty, afraid of punishment for putting them up without asking anyone's permission, but I never got told off, so it must have been okay. Oh, so the flirting. Well, there were a few girls I was flirting with on a regular basis. Sally, Tina, Jocelyn, Jaspal, and Lauren. Lauren and I had a little thing for a while where we would kiss and cuddle, but never much more than that. I ruined that little thing when Bertie asked me if Lauren and I were girlfriend and boyfriend, and I said yes in front of a few people. Lauren and I were not boyfriend and girlfriend, so she told me off in a private conversation in a stairwell. That was pretty much the end of our friskiness. I really wanted to be with Tina, but she had some strange no boyfriends rule. We almost kissed while we danced at a house party once, but if I'm honest, her armpit smelled a bit rank, and I bottled it at the last second. Not the smell, I bottled the kiss, not the armpit stink. Whatever. To bottle. 1. To not do something out of fear, usually at the last second possible. To bottle. 2. To put a substance into some bottle or other. Anyway, Jaspal. Well, Jaspal was what we would nowadays call a cock tease. I don't think we had that term in my day. Not in my day when I was your age. But yeah, she was a cock tease. And as such, the closest we got to anything worthwhile happening was watching Scary Movie 2 together in my bed. Magically without any sex or kissing. Because of rules. She was in a committed relationship with Lizard Man at the time. Good lord. I may have even technically been with Sally in a relationship at that time as well. How very dare I? Jocelyn was a prude, so that was going nowhere from the start. Okay, so I was seeing this girl, Twiggalina, someone I'd been to primary school with, not seen for 5 or 6 years, then had re-met at a party. She had grown boobs. I had fancied her at primary school in the innocent sort of way that children love the ones who don't smell as bad as the rest, or who have the least lurgies. Lurgies equals cooties. Yeah, so I'd had a childhood crush on Twiggalina, and then she'd randomly reappeared now that we were both sexually starting to flower. Somehow, we got together. She invited me to hang out with her sister, and some friends in Staines. We played about in some ground-spurting fountains and went to lie on the riverbank. We then went home to her friend's house, got high on marijuana, and spent the rest of the night and early morning in the euphoric womb of each other's arms and mouths. If I think about it, that is probably to this day the most intensely pleasurable romantic sexual experience I have ever had. It's a wonder what hormones, pheromones, touching, kissing, vodka, and marijuana can do. Let's just marinate in that love buzz for a while. Twiggy was the first girl whose naked boobs my hands had squeezed. She didn't live very far from me, only 7 minutes by bike if I really pegged it, which I always did. I would visit her pretty much every night, and we somehow managed to squeeze in some lunchtime visits too on occasion. We had a similar taste in music and would watch horror films together. She had a twin, Jemima. The two of them had developed this secret twin language that was undoubtedly based in English, but was so codified that no one on the outside could decipher what mystical meanings were passing between them. I have a similar thing with my brother, but it's nowhere near as refined and dialectical as theirs was. Words never fail you. You're just not trying hard enough. Twiggy was also the first girl I'd fingered in any meaningful way, and she was the first girl to have held my cock in the flesh. She was also the first girl to have made me jizz my pants. We went round to one of my bandmates' house for a party together, and when I woke up in the morning, slightly hungover, Twiggy was rubbing my cock through my trousers. What a fantastic way to be woken up, eh? I would quite like to be woken up like that way every day. It would save me the hassle of doing it myself. Unfortunately, as is the way of teenage romances most of the time, Twiggy and I's relationship was short-lived. I went on a family holiday to San Francisco over Christmas and New Year that year. While I was away, I got needy, whiny, and possessive. I was calling Twiggy every day back home in England and being a bit too needy, whiny, and possessive. I was jealous and insecure. I wanted to know where she'd been, what she'd been up to, and who with. I was always very suspicious, looking for signs that she was cheating on me while I was away. When I got back to England, it was only a few night visits before Twiggy dumped me. That was pretty hard. I went home and sat against the radiator, depressed and staring into space. My mum asked me at a certain point why I wasn't doing my homework. I told her I'd just been dumped by Twiggy, hadn't I? I'm just going to take a moment to re-feel that emotion of being dumped by Twiggy. Honestly, I think my mum's annoying inquiry about my homework was not the loving response I really needed at that moment, so the emotion got a bit disrupted. I'm going to finally fully feel what it felt like to be dumped by Twiggy. Thursday in the summer. Yes, that is how I want the date to be today, because realistically that is how I perceive my location in time. It's a Thursday. This means that it was student night at one local club last night, it's student night at another local club tonight, and there are various open mic nights going on too. Options. You always have options. Many people choose a few options somewhere near the beginning of their pitiful, meaningless lives and quite quickly forget that there are other options available. Options. You always have options. Sometimes it feels like there are too many options. Sometimes it feels like there are not enough options. Sometimes it feels like there are no options at all, but I assure you they are there. Options. You always have options. I've been taking some new options lately. For example, I've been opting for peace over drama and conflict in my relationships. I've been opting for decaf over caf. I've been opting to stay inside the venue instead of going out for a smoke 5, 6, 7 or more times on a night out. I've been opting to lie out in the sun, relaxing in a wide open field after my writing sessions, something I used to feel was too exposing and made me feel vulnerable. I've been opting to go to a new town to socialize because I like the people there more than those in my local area. These are all options that for a while I suppose I pretended didn't exist. They represented change and expansion that felt too difficult or unsafe somehow. Oh, how the fallen have mightified. One Fieros fits all. Okay, please select from the following options. Hello Twonks, hello Twonk Munchers, hello Squirrel Wranglers, hello Dear Bleeder, hello Scums, alright mates, hello, is anybody there? Good day to you bastards, marvellous to see you, welcome. Hello, 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 how low? Oi! Yes? How are you? I'm alright mate, what's up? Not much, just checking you're still alive. I am. Okay, so I went out to the sun-scorched field and stayed with that feeling of being dumped by Twiggy when I was 17. It sucked. It was depressing. I felt lost. I felt loss. I felt sad. I felt angry. I called her a bitch. What a bitch! What a bitch, I said. Honestly, I don't want to write about my past today. Maybe we should come into the present for a bit and see what's going on. Well, people are walking about doing their shopping and sitting about eating their lunches. What more do you want from a cafe inside the Sainsbury's superstore, huh? There are not enough buttocks in my life at the moment. Truth or dare? Truth. I am God manifest in human form. Okay, fair enough. Truth or dare? Dare. I dare myself to ask a girl out when I go to the bar tonight. Good for you, you could do with a girlfriend. Damn right. Yeah, go for it. Okay, I will. Man, today's writing session sucks. It's so bitty. What's going on? I don't know. Who is speaking right now? I don't know. What's my name? I don't know. Yeesh, you are hard work. I know. This sucks. I know. Maybe today is not a Psych Ward 3 day. Maybe that's why there is nothing to write. Maybe I am free of the Psych Ward today. Maybe I've finally been let out. I told you I escaped from Ward 10, didn't I? I escaped because I believe I was not supposed to be there. I wasn't psychotic. People were just weren't able nor willing to step outside their narrow perception of reality to explore the world beyond conceptualizing it. I was living in a free, unboundaried, limitless world, a world where the lines drawn by society were not real lines. I had read once in an art book that in nature there are no lines. This is actually true. If you zoom in on a line, at a certain point it ceases to be a line. There are worlds within worlds. Laws are only real if you get caught. Laws are only real when enough people say they are real, and here's the police force to enforce them forcefully. Authority is only authority because we give it authority. The freedom of society-less living is available at all times if you are able to step outside of your restrictive views of the world. There are no real boundaries anywhere. No social ones, anyway. Physical boundaries, yes. A wall is a wall, undoubtedly. But social boundaries are mental, emotional fabrications and are in constant flux. Analytically speaking, we can't even find what the essence of a glass or an apple is. We can try to define it, but each definition will be found lacking in some way, and exceptions to the definition will present themselves and prove that nothing can be truly known at its core. Try explaining this to a panel of doctors, psychiatric nurses, and your parents, all of whom have never stepped more than an inch outside of the conditioning that society has inculcated in them. Try to explain the boundaryless nature of consciousness and that God exists in all things at all times, and that we are all seemingly separate expressions of one seamless whole. Try to explain that the eternal now is the only time that exists, and that past and future only exist as images and thoughts in our minds, snapshots we have taken of the eternal now. Try telling your parents that they are alive here and now. You may well be told you are not well, insane, mad, crackers, off your rocker, and you may well be sectioned. I would just like to say for the record that my psychosis was a legitimate, valid conscious experience, and it contained all kinds of positive value for me. Personally, I think that if the establishment actually gave credence to what people who are supposedly delusional are saying, we might uncover new facets of our reality that have been hitherto unknown. But what do I know? I'm a nutter. What possible value could my words and beliefs have? Take your medicines like a good boy and stop going into the staff lounge. How did you even get in there anyway? When you do not perceive a boundary, there is no boundary. Just don't try it with walls or try to fly off the top of buildings. Ahem. Splat! I don't really want to press this point of I'm not mad society is much further. I'm sure you get the gist by now. How are you anyway? 12 July 2018. I guess it's Friday, but if you looked around and there were no such things as clocks and watches and calendars, how would you tell the difference, eh? I'm sure the birds and the bees, the sky and the trees can't tell the difference between a Tuesday and a Wednesday. Then again, I have noticed that it does tend to be more cloudy on a Monday and more sunny on a Saturday. So who knows, maybe nature is paying attention after all. I'm really going to try to knuckle down and grind my pen into the story. It's Psych Ward 3 for goodness sakes, and the trilogy was only intended to be a trilogy. Trilogy! So these refill pads, yeah. This one is yet another Pucker brand refill pad with roughly 400 pages in. However, 400 pages actually means 200 sheets of paper, not 400. Since I only write on the right-hand side, because it feels better to write on that side, it means that I only ever fill 200 sides of paper. At this time, I'd say I only have around 50 sides left in this refill pad, and it's only one psych ward per pad, so psych ward time is running out. Let's have a quick catch up. I was born Ross Alastair Wilson, 30th November 1985. I lived a number of years, then my granddad on my mother's side died. At that point I became fixated on the fact that everything dies, and that one moment is always passing on to the next, and that this therefore meant that no pleasure, no fun, no goodness, no happiness, no success, no satisfaction, No life lasts forever. I also decided around that time that I was depressed because of this fact of life. I looked out at the world around me and all I could see were things that were destined to die. Of course, this is a powerful and correct realization. There is no thing in the universe that will not die or change. Nothing stays the same for very long, and in fact, nothing is ever the same from one perception of it to the next. I digress. I suppose that depressive feeling accompanying the realization of the transient nature of life must have faded after a while. I suppose the next feeling that I was strongly aware of was a feeling of dread, anxiety, and anguish. Let's talk about each one of those feelings briefly. Dread. I dreaded doing my homework. I could sense it there in the background when I was trying to have fun and forget about it. Always this nagging sense of homework looming in the background and me not wanting to do it. That feeling of dread, background dread, homework undone and needs doing, always in the background. Always a deadline too. I think it was the deadline aspect that made it feel dreadful, full of dread. Because I had the sensation that something undesirable and hard was always coming closer, like a giant boner in the sky. Boner. So yeah, fuck homework, man. See this, what I'm doing now is similar to English homework, writing an essay, trying to be clever and wondering if my grammar is correct or not. Okay, so that's dread. Homework equaled dread. I suppose it felt like a big black anvil hanging above my head. The closer the deadline came, the more the anvil began to squish my head into my neck. Also, dread comes with a sensation of pain in the forehead and a contracting, painful feeling in the mind. It feels like oil and tar being compacted in my mind. Black, evil, and sticky. Something you really don't want in your mind. Suffering, pain. Homework needs to be done, Ross. Then we have anxiety. Anxiety seemed to come while actually doing the homework. Anxiety to me feels like stress, a painful, powerful, uncomfortable feeling in my chest as I write or work. I suppose if I could give words to the feeling, it would say, this is hard, but I have to do it, but it's hard and I can't do it, but I have to do it, and it has to be good, but I don't want to do it and I can't focus on it and it's too hard and I don't want to do it, but I have to do it, but I need to stop, but I'm not allowed to stop and it hurts and it's hard. I would quite often stop doing a piece of homework, then have a wank to relieve the stress. That seemed to work quite well. Orgasms, eh? The sensation of 1,000 benefits. Wank more equals better grades. They don't teach you that at school, though, do they? I doubt I would have had any dread if the homework set was to masturbate a few times each night. Right, that's enough of that. Bollocks to anguish. Anguish is just the same feeling of dread, but without the target. Anguish is just a painful turning inward in the mind, as though the mind is attacking itself from all sides, like a million spiky daggers all pushing into a central black orb of pain. Yeah, not nice. Anguish. Ouch. I feel my mind revisiting and re-experiencing these old pains and detoxing them. It feels as though the energy of those pains is now wisping its way out of my forehead like an oily black smoke wisping away. Good. I shall just sit with that feeling of old dread and anguish wisping out of my forehead for a while if it's all the same to you. Ah, great. Now I have to feel all this anguish I never fully felt as a teenager. Well, that's just great. Thanks very much, Psych Ward 3. I've been dumped by Twiggy, lost my granddad, and I've got the dread of homework deadlines going on. And no one is picking their nose in public, so this session is feeling most grim. Funnily enough, one of the substitute teachers who used to work at my old secondary school had just waddled in, fat and dopey as ever. She used to fall asleep at the front of the class and we would throw paper aeroplanes at her. Poor girl. I wish that lugubriating Nork would come back, don't you? I didn't ask any girls out yesterday. I was a bad boy. I didn't do my truth or dare homework. Oh well. Sigh. I'm waking up feeling better than usual, though, and I swear my fat little post-smoking belly is slowly but steadily going down. A bouncy castle with a slow puncture. I'm feeling spongy today. Did I tell you about feeling spongy yet? I feel spongy and soft and springy and peaceful in my body overall. I used to feel ratty and scratchy and raw and aggressive and fragile in my body overall. That was a sensation that began when I finally weaned myself off the numbing antidepressant medication that I was on for 5 years between 2008 and 2013. I came off the cotton wool-like antidepressants. Suddenly my body was alive again, like some creature being unfrozen after years of being buried in ice. The first thing I felt was the burning pain of having been frozen alive. Hello, Jim. Murrah! Rah! Mrah! Mrah! I guess he's pissed. Mrah! Rah! Damn right he's pissed. I can hear him smashing the blocks of ice he's just broken free from. Smash! Smash! Rah! Rah! Mrah! Smash! He's been mainly using his club to smash them, the blocks of ice. He's going on a bit of a rampage. Rah! 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 He's shaking the blocks above his head. His neck and eyeballs are vibrating with rage. Smash! Rah! Rah! Smash! Rah! 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 To be fair, I think he's going to be at this for a while. Maybe we should rah, rah, leave him be. Rah, 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 rah. Yeah, best to let smash him smash. Get smash, smash. On with it. Phew, what a mess. Aquos? Yes, yes, yes. Hello there. Here we are. What a marvellous day, I suppose. What can I do for you, dear fair being? Well, yes. Nothing. Okie dokie. Nuts. She swam away. Confusing. Eros? Sorry, old chap, flying too high. Call back when you're up to my air length, wavelength, whatever. Bummer, dude. See, Eros? Yes. How may I support your wishes this day? I don't know. You seem timid. Yes. Why so shy? Just yes. I'm scared. ... She's disappeared. Budos? Om. 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 Fieros Wilson? You killed me. I can never forgive you. Oops. I wonder what the beast is up to. She seems to be wandering around picking daisies and looking to make jam out of them. I guess this is what she's like in her natural habitat. I wonder why she was so snarly before. Wouldn't you be snarly if you'd been kept in a cage for years and only been fed beef jerky and pork scratchings? There's nothing in the ether today, just that sound from before, but much quieter. It feels peaceful and magical, yet distant, far off, over the hills and far away. Just before I finish, I should say that when I wrote PSYCH WARD 2, Piss in the Eye of the Beholder, I had the sensation that I was going to meet my future wife, either while writing it or shortly afterwards. Well, when I was halfway through the first version of PSYCH WARD 3, Lizzie showed up. I wonder what will happen this time around. Slazinge. See you next week, piglets. Kiss, 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 kiss. Monday, the 16th of July, 2018. Are you waking up yet? I am. It feels as though a lot of weights are starting to lift off me. I'm starting to return to myself. Fieros Wilson? Ross Alastair Wilson? No, the me self beyond the names. the one I know myself to be, the self I recognize as me, the self when I go, ah, yeah, this is me, my true self. I lost myself somewhere among the voices and words. It took the earth to bring me back to the notes and sounds. Do you know what? I honestly think I need a blowjob. I also need a hand job. I haven't had either a blowjob nor a hand job in quite some time. That and trifle. I'm definitely going to buy some trifle tomorrow. A blowjob, a hand job, and some trifle. That will definitely be all that I will ever need. Yes, a blowjob, a hand job, and some trifle. Those will make me feel all back to normal. I'm quite sure of it. Sex, swimming, and trifle. All of those have a very cleansing effect on the aura. My aura is currently murky and stagnant as fuck. I have unprocessed lumps of life experience gamming up my aura. So, swimming and trifle. The sex will have to wait because I still have a bit of PVSD, post-vaginal stress disorder. You know who I'm falling in love with? Jim. I'm starting to feel a kinship with the hairy blighter. Jim reminds me of myself. I think I'm beginning to fuse with him. Do you feel that? The energy of Jim re-merging into my energy field. Jim was in his cave, which may as well have been a cage. Jim tested the waters by dipping his toe over the threshold of the cave. Jim was worried that he had overstepped the line, and then he would surely be punished by pain. No pain came. Jim felt that he might be free to leave the cave. But even if he was free, what would he do? Where would he go? His defeat at the Rock of Glory still stood. It was still a true situation that no one was interested in laying down their clubs. So, what now? Sure, he could leave the cave at will. He could hunt his lettuce and whack his fish. But what of the wider world? What of the world beyond his simple cave-based pleasures? The whole myrrh thing had been his opening gambit. If Jim was honest, myrrh had been his only gambit. Myrrh and not clubbing people had been all he was good at. Myrrh was his destiny. He was sure of it. And now nobody heard myrrh, or they heard myrrh and they thought it was rah. So now what was there to do? Had the world changed since he'd sat so long in his cave eating rats, whacking evolutionary fish, and looking out at the wider world in dismay? And if the world hadn't changed, then perhaps he had changed. Had Jim changed since his defiant, definite days of myrrh? And still, the question of what next? Myrrh had been Jim's thing. There was still no new thing. What was Jim to do? It was incredibly frustrating. Jim picked up another rat skeleton and hurled it at the wall, yelling, "Myrrh!" Then he sat in a slump and sobbed. Maybe he hadn't yelled loud enough. Maybe he hadn't held his club high enough. Maybe myrrh wasn't even right to begin with. Maybe it was all wrong and everything had always been wrong. Maybe he was just wrong at his core. But maybe the world was wrong for not listening. He snapped a twig. He snapped another twig. He tried to snap a rat's bone. He tried again, but it was too hard. Jim looked up and thought to himself, what the hell kind of Neanderthal am I if I can't even snap a rat's bone? Then Jim looked up higher, his eyes wide open. I've just become self-aware. Jim had not even realized that there were thoughts in his head. Good Lord, there are thoughts in my head. Jim was not entirely sure whether this was a positive development. I shall have to keep this under wraps, he thought. A fish jumped out of the nearby pond and started flailing around on the ground. It seemed to be intent on flapping its way over to the edge of the cliff. Thwack! Not so fast, fishy boy, said Jim out loud. Jesus Christ, I didn't realize I could speak. He seems to have run off. Perhaps he has gone off to Glory Rock to say some different things. Another fish jumped out of the pond and started flailing, flapping, jumping, whacking its tail and head against the ground and moving left with each jump. Jim's club lay by the side. Jim was nowhere to be seen, and now the sneaky little fish was slapping its way towards the edge of the cliff. Rock! Swoop! Dive! Down came Fieros Eagle and pierced the flesh of the fish with his talons. Poor fish. It's best not to look just now. It's all going on here today, isn't it, dear? Isn't it just? I really want that fish to win, the metaphorical fish. I really want that fish to get what it wants. It wants to fly. It knows it will die by its fall, but it needs to fly. That fish wants to fly. But I can't just make fish jump out of ponds at will. A fish will jump when it is ready. I can't just force a fish out of the pond when it's quite clear that they are all just swimming around. But one day, one blessed holy day, a fish will jump and no one will thwack it, no one will pierce it, and no one will tread on it as they walk by. That fish, my friends, that fish will fly. Trust me, I know things. I got let out of Ward 12 eventually. I got let out. The doors were opened and there was no longer a legal injunction for me to return. That doesn't mean I left, you know. Part of me is still there, roaming the corridors like an invisible presence, looking at myself and the others. In a way, I don't want to leave. In a way, it feels like my place, the psych ward. There is no beast anymore, only rabbits hopping around and wondering if there was such a thing as anything bad in the world. I don't think squirrels actually have butts. Is that the truth, Mr. Wilson? My name is not Wilson. Oh, I'm sorry, I think I've wandered into the wrong room. Yes, this is a cafe, not a courtroom. Ahem, I see. Sorry about that. No worries, it can happen to the best of us. Yes. Good Lord, that was strange. Better keep it under my hat. Maybe this has all been the boggy marsh of 3, an undesirable, boggy, marshy, murky, scummy place you have to wade through to get to the clear, fresh hills of 4. 4. Doesn't that feel good, To be 4? Life is humming and teeming and thronging around me, and I am 4. Can you tell the difference? I know things now. I am reborn. Ross Alastair Wilson, Fieros reborn. Do you see me? Look, here I am. I am reborn. Guess what I bought? I didn't actually own a copy of it. The copy was the copy that was in the loft. That's actually not the same as buying and owning my own copy. To the lighthouse, ladies and gentlemen. Let us flap our wings and fly like fish who have jumped free for millions of years, and let us fly. I am Eros, Wing Commander. I hear your command for flight. Yes, thank you, Eros. Steady as we rise, we rise. See the wide open clouds in the floating sky. Let us rise. On the wing, on the wind. Let us soar. Let us fall upwards. Technically, that would make a solid ending. Lots of threads seem to have tied themselves off like the kid who has finally managed to follow his mother's command to tie a knot in it. However, life continues on after the ending, doesn't it? So let's see what happens after the ending, hey? You know, at a certain point in the film of life, the main character has to sit around in the dentist's waiting room for half an hour to 45 minutes while the gods who are writing the script figure out what the hell is going to happen next. But where are those movies where the second half is just the main character sitting in the waiting room and looking around at stuff, huh? It's all very well rushing towards the big goal, the big climax, the giant orgasm in the sky, but what happens afterwards? Who is going to clean up all the spunk, for one thing? The government? I'm not sure what the government has been up to. Its mighty sweeping eye has been nesting up on some lofty mountain top for quite a while. I feel like it's about time the government started sending letters. The government loves to send letters. In fact, I think that is the government's primary function in life, letter sending. I bet they won't send me a letter saying thank you for all the money I've been sending them over the years. I see how it is. I used to be in a band, you know. I think that overall, apart from having sex and eating trifle, being in a band is my favourite thing of all to do. You wouldn't have thought it though, not if you looked at my life as it stands now, and the way it has been for nearly 5 years now. 5 years it has been since I was last in a band. That's a long time to not be doing what you say is your favourite thing of all to do. Sometimes you make a decision and life falls in place around that decision such that you cannot undo it. I have had various experiences with this. When I quit uni, originally I only suspended my course, then later I got the suspension turned into a cancellation. Then later I called up the art department to inquire about the possibility of picking back up where I left off. They said various convoluted things which basically amounted to, no, go away. Similarly, shortly after I quit my self-employed guitar tuition business, funding was cut for the lessons I was giving. That made it financially unfeasible for me to return to teach there. It's almost as if life was urging me, funneling me, channeling me into a new direction. Similarly, when I quit my last band, the other members strangely all moved far away, to the point where reforming became highly impractical. It's almost as if life wants me to go in the direction I set for myself at important moments. The bridges seem to collapse behind me, forcing me on into new territories. Honestly though, I'm only writing and drawing at the moment because I don't have a band. What I wouldn't give to go back 5 years and be in a band again, but with the steadiness of self-knowledge that I have now. It is a sprawling and unknown world at the moment. As I look out at the aisles of Sainsbury's, I see, overlaid, various different possible avenues I could go down in the future. It looks like London streets to me. I would love to live in London. I've wanted to live in London since I was 20 years old or so. There is so much to explore in London, so many different people to meet, so much sex waiting to be had. There are places to go in London, nooks and crannies of places to be wheedled out and claimed as my own for a while. My place, my friends, my community, my band, my career, my sex life, my finances, my rest and relaxation, my relationship, my running shoes. People in London all own and regularly use a pair of running shoes. I'm 100% sure of it. I've seen them on the trains. They've all got a pair of running shoes in their backpack, handbag, or briefcase. Everyone in London is always ready at a moment's notice to become a jogger. It is in the nature of things. Can you feel that London feeling seeping in? I would love to have my own safe place in London. A place to call my own for a while. What do you reckon? Fine, I'll tell you about the onions. I bought 3 large onions last week with the intention to slather myself with them. I thought, I keep writing about being slathered in onions, and I've never actually been slathered in onions myself. What example am I setting to my readers? Read as I say, but don't do as I say. Confusing. Mixed messages, I know. Confusing! Confusing! So I bought the damn onions, didn't I? I did. I bought 3 large onions in an orange net with the intention to slather myself in them. I then realised that I'm not entirely sure what honeysuckle is. No doubt the universe will provide me with the answer one way or another. Sometimes the universe just tells you things randomly, like you wonder, I wonder what honeysuckle is. Then you find some seeds of it lying around on the floor on the street, and the word honeysuckle glares at you from the floor with a little picture, and you go, oh right, so that's what it is. Sometimes the universe brings you the answer via a conversation, an overheard conversation, an advert, a song on the radio. Then sometimes you just have to look it up when you get home instead. Personally, I love it when the universe leaves me a packet of donuts lying around on a wall outside a superstore. That's happened twice now. They were tasty and not poisoned on both occasions. Well, you have to check these things, don't you? Anyway, no, I haven't yet slathered myself in onions. I bought them, then they sat in my bag looking suspiciously at me for an hour or two. Then I thought, I don't have to do it just because I wrote about it in my book. And what will the damn reader know anyway? No, I'm not doing it. I mean, let's say I did buy another set of onions. I fried up the last ones and bloody burnt them while I was looking up honeysuckle on the internet. Let's say I did buy another bag of onions with the intention of slathering myself with them. What would that be? Some life purpose fulfilled, huh? Answer me! I'm pretty sure I'm going to do it, you know. It can't be that bad and it won't last long. At least I can say that I did something with my life then, because now you know, without being slathered in onions ever, what really do I have to pass on as wisdom for future generations? Nothing. I am nothing without those onions, man. Nothing. Okay, fine, I'll do it. But I'll tell you now, it's going to be an anticlimax, and like I said before, what happens after? Mess. It's going to be a lot of mess to tidy up. It is tempting, though. Tew, 16 Jul 2018. Trifle is going to have to wait. I've decided to put myself on a liquid-only diet for the next few days. I've just bought 20 quid's worth of liquid items. I can't go around carrying a big fat ex-smoker's belly forever. It feels gross. Trifle as a reward for getting unfat. Meanwhile, slurp. So back to the story. I got dumped by Twiggy. I probably also ate a sandwich, played some guitar, played some computer games, and rode my bike to and from school, but they won't put those bits in the movie of my life. They'll just focus in on my sullen face as I sit there slouched against the radiator, depressed and dumped. Then they'll cut to some image of water droplets trickling down a misty window to suggest sadness and generally being a bit miffed. I presume I got up from being sat slouched against the radiator, staring into the feeling of my dumpedness. I must have got up, or I would still be sat there now. Maybe I am still sat there now. I can feel the red cylinders of the vertical radiator warm against my back. It's night time. Twiggy dumped me in the park where, on our first date as a couple, I tried to get her to have fun and bounce on the springy play equipment. It was in the shape of a sailboat, and it pinged back and forth on a spring. You're supposed to sit on it and rock back and forth. You are also supposed to be between the ages of 3 and 10. Twiggy wouldn't get on the springy boat thing on our first date. I was quite happy to bounce around and have fun on it at the age of 17. I think she thought that it was immature to have fun in a playground at the age of 17. Personally, I think it's immature not to enjoy the bounty of play equipment that nature has provided. I still go and play on play equipment every now and then, usually past midnight so no one tells me off for having too much unauthorized fun. There has never been anything morally wrong with fun as long as you don't harm anyone. In fact, if you're only harming someone's misery, I think it's your duty to have fun. Misery could do with being harmed into joy. Sometimes you would think that peace, love, joy, and happiness were sent by the devil the way some people react to them. Then again, on the flip side of that, there is nothing more irritating when you're depressed than someone telling you to smile, think positive, and cheer up. So it's a fish and two eggs, really, isn't it? 6 and 2 threes, swings and roundabouts, a double-edged sword, roses and butterflies, a fish and 2 eggs. My mum used to say, it's a 6 and 2 threes, isn't it? Which means 2 options or outcomes that are of equal importance without a real difference between them. Like, shall I drink cashew nut juice or vegetable juice? It's a 6 and 2 threes, really, isn't it? Shall I go out with Lauren or Twiggy? It's a 6 and 2 threes, really, isn't it? I decided that because Mum kept saying 6 and 2 threes all the time, I needed to find my own silly phrase to say instead. Thus was born, it's a fish and 2 eggs, really, isn't it? 2 items of equal value. Shazam! Makes sense to me. It's also quite fun to say and see people nod along as though they know what it means. It's quite fun to say it out of context too, but with an air of meaning. Core, this queue's a bit long, isn't it? Yeah, but it's a fish and 2 eggs really at the end of the day, isn't it? Yeah. What? As I say, quite fun. So I got dumped by Twiggy. She said that I was being needy and clingy and that she was starting to feel trapped. She also said that this had happened before in relationships, and she knew from experience that it doesn't get better, and this was the time to end things between us. In hindsight, she was absolutely right. I went on to be just as needy and possessive and jealous with Sally as I was with Twiggy, if not more so. Now I trust that Twiggy did the right thing for both of us at that moment. I think she was quite wise to have broken up with me at the time. She knew and she trusted her knowing. This is wisdom, and it's something I now value highly in myself and others. That ability to trust one's intuitive assessment of a situation or relationship and to act in accordance with what you know to be the right thing to do. Usually, trusting and acting on your intuition leads to short-term pain, some initial difficulty or turmoil. But long-term, trusting your intuition leads you to better situations. Doing the right thing based on your intuitive assessment of a situation tends to also end up being the right thing for all involved as well. At the moment, there are no new right things to do. The last few right things to do were, in reverse order, going backwards from now: quitting smoking, breaking up with Lizzie, starting the PSYCH WARD series, quitting my guitar teaching business, quitting my band, breaking up with Ethel, weaning myself off antidepressants. Looking at that list, most of those decisions are about stopping doing things that are bad for me. Twiggy dumped me. Twiggy dumped me. I sat slouched up against the radiator because Twiggy dumped me. She dumped me. This is just like when Mary Ann Gristworth dumped me for being too short and a year younger than her and immature because I like to be playful and silly. Twiggy dumped me. I feel like shit. Twiggy dumped me. And I've already blown it with Lauren. I feel like shit. I feel rough. I feel stunned. I feel shocked. I feel glazed over. I feel like I'm in a haze of depression. I feel like in a stunned haze of shock and denial. I'm staring into the sense of shock and depression. I'm sat slouched up against the vertical radiator in the playroom and I feel like shit. I think I want someone to notice that I feel like shit because something bad has happened. I want someone to see that something is wrong and to notice me slouched up against the radiator. I want someone to notice that something is wrong. Why aren't you doing your homework, Ross? I've just been dumped. That guy, that old me, that guy slumped, just been dumped, sat at the radiator, really doesn't want to move. He's still there. I wonder how long he's been there. I think he is not just about being dumped by Twiggy. I think now he is basically like a sludge monster within my heart. He represents all the dumpings, all the rejections, all the failures, and he is sat there inside my psyche perpetually at the moment, head down, hands limply dangling, arms resting on knees in a fuzzy, depressing, hazy daze about anything and everything that has ever gone wrong. At the moment, there's nothing much I can do for him, poor sludge monster radiator man. I think I just have to give him time and check back every now and again. Give him a bit of attention until he tells me to go away. Poor sludge monster. He does not look happy. What a pile of sludge. Poor guy. In a way, he reminds me of Jim when he was in his cage/cave. I don't know what on earth has gotten into Jim, honestly. I just sense him running around all over the place at the moment. Like ever since he became self-aware and realised the cage was an illusion, he's just gone nuts. I just have this sense of him being far away and running around on the outskirts. It's almost like he's waving his club and yelling, "Woo! I'm free! Yeah! Woo!" Honestly, I can't keep up with him. And honestly, I'd rather not. He'll tire himself out eventually and he'll need to come home to rest. No one can run around yelling, "Woo, I'm free" forever. I don't know what he's up to. Quite honestly, I don't want to know. Leave the guy to it. He's a loose cannon, man. Let him get on with it. Hopefully our paths won't cross until he's settled down a bit. Cro-Magnon, man! Meanwhile, people pick things up, put them in trolleys, push the trolleys to the till, and the person at the till is picking things up off the conveyor belt, and they're all she's at the moment here today, she is making that beeping noise that till people make when they're excited. Speaking of conveyor belts, the fish in the pond have noticed that the man with the club in the cave has gone. Slap, mackerel. Slap, salmon. Slap, trout. Slap, carp. Slap, minnow. Slap, perch. Slap, goldfish. Slap, guppy. Slap, mudfish. Slap. One of those fish with fins that look suspiciously like wings has just slapped its way onto the ground. This one looks somewhat militant. Zoom in and its eyes are fixated. Its gills are intense. Its fins are directed, intentional. Nothing is going to stand in its way. The other fish, there's loads of them now. Look at them all slapping about, jumping their way bit by bit towards the edge of the cliff. Fieros Eagle doesn't know what to do with herself. She's looked down from her routine preening activities and, boing! Her eyes pop out of her head. She can't believe her eyes. It's like 3 weeks' worth of breakfast, lunch, and dinner has just jumped and said, "Please eat me, Mrs. Eagle." It's almost too good to be true. Perhaps it's a trap. Better circle around from on high for a bit and see if any of those damn bird-hunting poacher pricks with guns are around. You never know. They might have baited the fish to lure me down. Better circle around screeching occasionally to check it out. I don't think I told you about Denise. Her bewildered expression, her stony face, her frizzy white hair and her slurry lips have just popped themselves through my hospital room door. I wish these things had locks on. She's going on about wanting to give me some clothes because I'm her baby. It's because I'm relatively young compared with everyone else who's in there. She took a shine to me early on and started saying, "You're my baby." It was quite annoying. What is it with mental health patients, huh? Why are they so full of catchphrases? I'm buggered if I know. It's all a fish and 2 eggs to me. No, Denise, please can you leave me alone? I'm trying to sleep. This is my room. Please would you respect my privacy? But you're my baby. Sigh. She'll go sooner or later. You will find that if you just hold firm and wait, most annoying situations will dissolve by themselves after a while. Either you will do something to change the situation or someone else will, or a fluke of the system or a freak of nature will come in. Whatever the case, no situation stays exactly the same for very long. Even prison sentences wear off after a while, one way or another. Let's go back to being dumped by Twiggy, but let's allow the sludge monster to take care of the depression, and let's all crack on with going to school anyway. Life must go on. Life doesn't stop just because you got dumped. My handlebar got caught in a bush as I was cycling between the bush and a parked car on the pavement. I fell off. That was embarrassing. I got back on my bike hastily. No one saw, but I was still embarrassed. Maybe someone did see. I suppose I was just embarrassed to myself, not to anyone else. Thinking about it, I'd actually fallen off my bike near that spot some 7 or so years before. "I'm not going out with you anymore, Ross." Mildred was shouting from her mum's 4th-story council flat balcony. "Fine! See if I care." I jumped on my bike to ride away, crashed straight into the particularly high curb and fell over, with my bike on top of me, in a heap. "So, you're just going to leave me here lying in the gutter, are you?" I don't know what she actually said next, but it was probably only giggling anyway. Did I tell you about the time I got stung on the lip by a wasp, by the way? I'd been hiding up a tree for the fun of it when a wasp came buzzing around and stung me right on the lip. I cried and rode home on my bike. When I got back, my dad said something like, "That's what you get for trying to eat wasps." Wasps, the airborne terrorists of the summer skies. I digress. Come on now, let's get back to being 17 and back at school after being recently dumped by Twiggy. I have to move the story on whether the sludge monster wants to do his homework or not. Life urges us on. Sally was my first love, so as much as I would love to just whoosh past her and talk nonsense until tea time, she deserves a little respect. Sally feels closest to what it feels like to be me. I don't know if you understand what I mean by that. Everything I value in her, I value in myself. Her wisdom, her compassion, her sparkle, her playfulness, her spirit, her unashamed honesty, her willingness to tell hard truths, her excitability, her love for life and friends, her willingness to express that love spontaneously, her tenderness, her intuitive knowings, her sensitivity, her commitment to following her true path, her inbuilt sense of spirituality and the sanctity of life, and her ability to care. I can easily forgive her moodiness and sometimes petulant sarcasm, because she is strangely sweet and entertaining in her rages as well as in her softness. It's never been more fun to be told off by someone. She's the person who will make you somehow feel better because she told you off. Again, she feels closest to what it means to be me. She has been a guiding light of sorts over the years, reminding me of what is real, good, valuable, and true in life at every turn. She's basically like an elven fairy. That's what her essence seems to be like. Earnest and human, willing to be fallible, open to getting it wrong, naturally committed to the reality of herself. Well, that's how she was anyway. Those are the qualities I see in my memory of her. It could, of course, all be some over-glorification in my mind, but I'm willing to take that risk because over-glorification or not, her spirit still inspires, consoles, and guides me. If I really think hard about it, when I feel like I've lost focus or lost touch with what it feels like to truly be myself, what I am seeking for is to return to that feeling of Sally. She reminds me of what it is to be me. She stands for what I am at my core. When I lose touch with that, I go out of touch with what is good, clear, and true in life. When I feel like I am being like Sally, I feel like I am being like myself, as I should be, as nature intended me. Open, clear, spontaneous, an expression of the spark of light at the center of the universe. We've only got a few pages left in Psych Ward 3, ladies and gentlemen. How are you? Remember, it's what happens after the ending that counts. I wonder what will happen next. Time to slow down and drift into the ether for a bit. Let's just drift, stare at the blank page, and float. You're lucky there's another refill pad after this one, because where would you be otherwise, eh? Floating about in the ether for eternity. It's really quite nice in there today, though, but eternity sounds like an awfully long time. Slowing down, remembering to breathe. Breathing space. Psych Ward 3 is falling asleep. I never got round to slathering myself in onions, nor peeling any potatoes from on high. Not as of yet, anyway. That Grim Salamander is a wily beast. Such is the nature of cyclic existence. Time to sleep. Anyone fancy a drink? Psych Ward 4, The Grim Salamander, by Aquos, the Water-Dwelling Beast. Hello and welcome to another Psych Ward. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be writing for you. I'm glad to be here. Hello. My name is Aquos, the Water-Dwelling Beast, but you can call me Aquos. I am aware that my good friends Fieros Wilson and Fieros Reborn were your previous hosts for the Psych Ward series, but never fear. I'm sure you will find me, Aquos the Water-Dwelling Beast, quite amenable. I would like to tell you a little bit about how I came to be. Well, it's a little tricky to explain, but you could say that I exist as an emotionalized persona within the total energy system conventionally referred to as Ross Alastair Wilson. I am similar to Fieros Wilson and Fieros Reborn in that I exist within the psyche of Ross Alastair Wilson, and I have my own life force, my own sense of authorship, my own true voice, my own drives, goals, personality, desires, intuitions, needs, and feelings. In essence, I am a conscious individual within the total personality of Ross Alastair Wilson. I am part of him, Yet I have my own life that is very real to me and very real to him. You will notice, perhaps you have noticed already, I have a very different style of speech to my Fierosian brothers. Although, of course, being animated by the mighty supreme overlord above, old Rossi boy himself, I share some kinship of style. But on the whole, I think you will find me quite different. Some of you, I'm sure, will welcome this new change. Others, I'm sure, will hearken back to the Fierosian ages of pages gone by. I'm still here, you know. Hello, Fieros, old chum. Nice to see you. How's it going? Grim. Grim, eh? What seems to be troubling you, my dear? It's just grim is all. Marvellous! Welcome to the grimness of life. I want to take my book back. You didn't ask my permission. My dear chap, of course, it's perfectly within your rights to seize control. But wouldn't you like to rest? You've been working awfully hard for so long. I'm just looking out for your health, my lovely. Don't call me that. Fieros can be a bit of a prickly pear. She doesn't seem to like being given love, attention, support, and encouragement. Fieros likes to be in control. In order to stay in control, he cannot surrender herself up to anyone else's direction. She is also in conflict with his own gender identity, so let's leave him, her, to it for the moment. I am here and I will be your guide. I am a male. I checked this morning quite thoroughly. I am also a heterosexual, contrary to what some of you little scruff muffins might be thinking. Just because I have long blonde hair and I'm a bit of a giant softy doesn't mean I'm a homosexual. So let's put that thought to bed, dears. I should say also, as we get going, that some people find my nurturing, cooing tone somewhat patronizing. I am willing to accept that you may feel that way. Finally, you should be aware that, having a different personality and style, I also have access to Fieros Wilson's, Fieros Reborn's, and Ross Alastair Wilson's stories in a different way. I have access to different memories in the total psyche, and I speak about memories you have already witnessed differently also. Now that we have all that in mind, I wish you a very pleasant journey through this, the Aquosium version of Psych Ward 4. Welcome to the Aquosium. Plenty of fish here for sure. Plenty of fish indeed. I'm just going to let someone else take over for a while because I need a rest. Thank fuck for that. My God, he was insufferable, wasn't she? I'm so glad to be back in control. Jesus Christ, it was like being submerged by some filthy water demon. Like he was holding my head down and I was struggling to breathe. I had to jump out. I have no gills. I need to fly. I am Fieros, Fieros reborn, and I need to fly. I still feel submerged. I'm being pulled back down. There we are. Poor Fieros reborn doesn't know what's good for him. Come along now, dear. Stop splashing around. You're only causing a mess. I can't do this, man. I can't breathe underwater. I have no gills. I will die. I'm drowning. I can't do it. Oh, for goodness sake, I'll lift you out, okay? Thank you. I can breathe here. Can you just keep my head above? I can't do this, man. I feel like I'm constantly being drowned. Don't you understand? Fire and water don't mix. I am a fire element. I cannot get wet, because if I do, I will... I will die. Eros, please, help. Lift me away. Did someone say lift? Preparing engines. Engines ready. Powering up. Eros Airlift Rescue Services on the way. Help me. I'm drowning, Eros. Help, help. Eros Airlines locked on target. The eagle swooped down and pierced another flapping fish in its big, yellow, scaly scaled talons. He was starting to stockpile the fish. There were so many of them, and they just kept on jumping and flailing. It's almost like they were asking for help to die. Well, she wasn't one to refuse a fish's flapping cry to die. He was well prepared to pierce these fish and lift them to their tasty doom. Tasty doom. Sieros, guardian of the psychological space, is getting overloaded. Yes, I am. Please, slow down. I need to think and see this stuff clearly. Right, I'm back. Aquos here, nice to be back. I feel fresh, Fresh water, cool and fresh, babies. It's been a while since I was given free rein, but here I am. Let's just check on Jim. I feel like I'm perving on him while he's on the loo, but I assure you it's not like that. Hi everyone, I'm Jim. I'm reading a book on the loo. To be honest, I preferred it when Jim couldn't speak. It seems to have demystified him somewhat. He's just become any old person. He could be Joe Schmo now for all I care. Hey, just 'cause I can think and speak now doesn't mean I'm not awesome. Well, I don't like you being self-aware. Sorry, Jimmo, but that's just how I feel. Then you shouldn't have made me self-aware, should you? I couldn't help it. It just happened. A likely story. And I suppose the fish just whack themselves, do they? Uh-huh. Okay. See, this is why I preferred him back in his days. I can hear you, you know. I'm not deaf. Grrr. Now who's sounding like a caveman? Go away. I didn't ask for this. No, I follow my own rules, not yours. I'll do what I like. This is my cave and I am here to stay. You're the one coming in here intruding on my privacy in my cave, on my time, in my space. If anyone should leave, it's you. Why must I be in continual conflict with my internal elements? If you're confused as to who is speaking at any time, then it's helpful to just remember that I am all of them, and all of them are just words on the page. As fascinating as they can be, they are just words on pages, and eventually you have to let them just be what they are and surrender. Close the book. Sigh and give up the struggle. Just let it go. That Grim Salamander, though. That salamander has been really getting to me. I don't know what it is. It's just 2 or 3 words. Grim Salamander. The Grim Salamander. But what is it? Huh? That Grim Salamander has been scurrying and slithering around in these pucker refill pads, and even in some W.H. Smith own brand refill pads for nearly 3 years now, and I still don't know what it's about. The Grim Salamander. There it is again. It has been slithering about, sticking out its salamandrical tongues since I started this whole project. Originally, I wrote a few refill pads worth of stuff that was fun and funny and told the story, but that didn't feel deep enough somehow. The Grim Salamander featured heavily in those original refill pads, which of course I destroyed. But I am a firm believer that anything of true meaning or value tends to hang around. All things will eventually inevitably be destroyed by time, but some things resist destruction longer than others. The Grim Salamander has survived. The Grim Salamander has survived all this time. The Grim Salamander has survived all this time, and yet its meaning still confounds me. What does the Grim Salamander represent? What does the Grim Salamander stand for? It feels quite impenetrable. It doesn't even feel like a real salamander. It's like it refuses to have life in the same way as the other elemental characters do. The Grim Salamander wishes to stay as words alone. The Grim Salamander wishes to stay as an impenetrable concept. The Grim Salamander wishes to stay fixed like a rock, but I want to penetrate it. It is frustrating that such a concept should show up so often without revealing what its purpose is. It is frustrating that the concept of the Grim Salamander shows up so often, and yet it refuses to be penetrated. This Grim Salamander is the longest lasting mystery. Originally, I had intended the phrase the Grim Salamander to be synonymous with or code for the meaning of life, and it was supposed to be elusive as a running joke throughout the book. Like it keeps showing up and no one knows what it's about, and then it slips away the closer we get to figuring out its meaning, just like the meaning of life itself. I wanted the phrase the Grim Salamander to be a token for how elusive the mystery of life is. Now, however, the Grim Salamander seems to have grown beyond my initial intentions for it. I initially thought that the Grim Salamander could be purely interpretive, as in it was a blank token for you, the reader, to interpret in whatever way you saw fit, like a pattern of cloud that you see as a rabbit or a squirrel, a water-dwelling beast or a goat. I don't really know what the deal is with Stanley and his sellotaping goat fiasco. I feel like the goat should be set free to roam the mountainsides, perhaps to sniff around near the government's mighty nest on high. Of course, to get my goat means to make me angry, so the goat must be symbolic of anger in some way. Sellotape the goat? Put the goat back? Stanley, sellotape the goat back. I suppose that means give me my anger back. Allow me to have my right to be angry. Sellotape doesn't seem to be very strong though. I'm pretty sure that sellotape is no match for any hardened goat. So honestly, I think that no matter how hard Stanley sellotapes my goat, good lord, now it sounds sexual. No matter how hard Stanley sellotapes my goat, the goat will always break free. In that case, why bother trying to sellotape the damn thing in the first place? And if it's my goat, then why am I asking Stanley, of all people, to sellotape it? Now the metaphor is about what? Blame? Abdicating responsibility to others for my emotional state? I think I was better off leaving that particular goat as a mystery of nonsense. But finally, I do think that the goat should be set free. I don't think any self-respecting goat wants to be sellotaped in any way, shape or form. Let's unsellotape Stanley's goat. Okay. Snip, 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 snip. That sounded awfully like getting a haircut, or snipping cards, or snipping flowers. I didn't tell you about Stacky. He used to work at Legoland in the warehouse department. I had to spend a couple of afternoons sorting out a trashed, messy stock cupboard with him once. It was the first time I had been in such close quarters with an attractive male, and although I felt uncomfortable about that, I also felt curious. Wow, it really sucks to be demystifying all of this, but I need to get it done. I need to be finished with this. As my mum said last night, it's been years since you started writing about it all. Yes, it has been years. It's been about 3 years writing under the title of Psych Ward, and before that I wrote some chunk of stuff under the title When I Was Ill. My dad and I also used to do presentations for groups of sixth formers and also at mental health conventions under the banner Psychosis Happens. We also performed a show at the Brighton Fringe Festival one year called Hugging Barbed Wire, which was a collaborative piece of theatre and music involving 5 performers, me, my dad, my brother, and 2 separate people of name of Steve, believe it or not. The Hugging Barbed Wire show also had, and may well still have, a website of the same name. I was also featured in a BBC 3 documentary on mental health called Inside My Mind. I also featured in a TV advert with my dad for the Rethink Mental Illness charity's Time to Change campaign. I've also written many songs about my experiences and blog articles and made YouTube videos. So yes, it has been years. It has been years and I am starting to feel it. It's 10 years on and I'm still mad, angry. But am I really that angry anymore? Do I really need to keep doing this? I don't want to be writing about the psych ward experience for the rest of my life. I want it to be done. I want it to be over. I want to be able to look back at these pages, not be writing them on and on. I want it to be finished. I want to be able to open and close the book at will. I don't like feeling compelled to come here and write. This isn't currently about desire, it's about psychological necessity. I don't want to write about this, I have to. I have to write about it and I have to keep writing about it until there is nothing left to write anymore. I need to have the feeling that it is done. I need to have the feeling that it is finished. I need to have the feeling that it is complete. I need to have the sense that I don't need to do this anymore because it is done. You know what I've also realized? I don't have to write the whole story from start to finish, even though I would like to be able to. Honestly, I'd like to live a lot of it again, but as some invisible witnessing presence. You know, maybe it was this self, here and now, that called me to break up with Cuthbert. Leave Cuthbert. This was the inner directive that spoke to me when I sat down to meditate on finding the next right thing. Maybe me, here, now, maybe I sent that message to my past self. That's an interesting concept, isn't it? If that is the case, I wonder what message my future self is trying to send me at the moment. Honestly, all my future self is telling me is to get this damn fucking trilogy done. I've also realised that I don't have to resolve every character's arc. I don't have to resolve every metaphor, because some metaphors are resolved in their state of unresolution, as in they're meant to be that way. Being unresolved is their state of resolution, because that is their nature. That is the way they are. So, Psych Ward 4, The Grim Salamander by Aquos the Water-Dwelling Beast. Sigh. I feel like a grim salamander myself right now. What does that mean? I want it to be done. I don't want to be writing about this anymore. I am through with Jim. He can do what he likes. He is not my responsibility anymore. Let him fall into an icy crevice nut sack first for all I care. He is self-aware now, after all. I do wish you wouldn't talk about me behind my back. See, look, Jim, hey, is becoming a nuisance. Excuse me, I have the right to be treated with dignity. I'm a Neanderthal, goddammit. Respect me, please. You see, I can't even talk about him without him butting in, so I'm just going to say goodbye to him. Goodbye, Jim. Goodbye, Fieros. My name's Aquos. Well, whatever, goodbye to you. Yes, goodbye to you also. It's sad that I don't care about him anymore, but I also don't care that it's sad that I don't care about him either. He's a made-up character. He is a psychological tool at best. He is a metaphor. That's what you think, buddy. Yeah, well, we have to leave him now. Sorry, Jim. Things just aren't working out between us. I've got to go. I need this to be done. Yeah, that's fine. I've got some foraging to do anyway. I was thinking of checking out what's up on the old glacier up there. I thought I might go check out the view from the top. Just, to see what I can see. I see. Yeah, my eyes have been opened now. I know that life is not all about meh. I have you to thank for that. No worries. Anyway, the ice mountain calls. Take it easy, whatever your name is. Ta-ra! Bye, Jim. Take care. I will miss you. It can't all be ending so soon, can it? In a way, I don't want it to end. Yes, but all things must come to an end. Sarah Shaw, my care coordinator from the community mental health team, had said that after a while things would snowball and I'd be back in the community, that my psych ward stay would soon end. I didn't believe her. I honestly thought I would be in there forever. I told you that I even prayed in the hospital chapel, didn't I? I prayed to God for the strength to endure it and to have my freedom back. I wanted to be set free. I had escaped one psych ward by cunning. I had lived in the wilderness of my friend's attic for a month. I had been recaptured like a recalcitrant squirrel by the squirrel wranglers of the law who would take no buts. I had stayed on the second ward, the more pleasant, more comfortable, yet still coffin-like, corridor-infested ward, the one with a piano, a pool table, a tennis table, tennis table, a computer room, a cooking room, a garden with a greenhouse. I had escaped that ward because I just wanted to be free. I had returned because I had to do my time if I was ever going to be free in the eyes of the law. And now, because I had obviously ticked enough of the right boxes by saying the right things and doing the right things and suppressing what I honestly knew in my heart about the way I was being treated, now, because a load of doctors and nurses said so, Sarah was there to move me out. It all happened so quickly. The doodles I had pinned to the pinboard of my hospital bedroom, my psych ward coffin room that strangely I had grown used to, I collected up the doodles and binned them because Sarah said, "Let it all go, leave it all behind." I was too medicated, suppressed, downtrodden, and beaten to argue with anyone or stand up for myself. The system had won. The system had said, "You are insane, you are ill, you are not well." And they had pummeled me with drugs until I was so numb to myself that all I could say was, "Yes, I believe your version of my perspective more than I believe my own version of my perspective." I had been beaten, and now, because I was beaten, I was being set free. Sarah helped me collect up all my things into a black plastic bin liner bag, and she escorted me to another nurse's car, and that nurse then drove me home. That nurse stayed with me for the first hour that I was at home. She asked me what I wanted to do. I said I wanted to draw. I got my sketchbook out and I drew while she watched and spoke to me about nothing in particular. Imagine being dumped by Twiggy continuously all day long for 5 years. That's what it felt like from that point on. And that, dearest reader, is the end of Psych Ward. That is the end of it. A fish, eyes glaring, fixated, intent on the open horizon, takes one quick last look at the flapping, flailing fish behind, the eagle feasting in his mountain nest, and the teeming pond behind. Way across the sky, the fish caught sight of what looked like a grizzled man holding a book on top of a large rock. The fish said goodbye to the earth. The fish looked up and leapt. Splat! The end. Some people might say, that was a waste of pages. As to you, I rest my case. Now, on with the story. I did say it is what happens after the end that counts. It's what happens after the end that matters. I'll leave you to interpret that however you like. I honestly thought it was the end, you know. I watched that gallant, evolutionary, suicidal fish leap to its doom, and I genuinely thought that was the end. I thought that was it. I thought it was over. I thought it was done. I thought it was finished. I thought that it was complete. And yet, here I am, sat in Sainsbury's cafe in a daze, the same daze that everyone else seems to be in. So much for my superhero powers of clear awareness, huh? Perhaps I'm only human after all. And perhaps it is done. Perhaps it's just a book now. Perhaps it's just a book now and not a series of unwritten memories. The lost inner world, the lost inner landscape, the lost inner child, the lost inner self. Perhaps it really is just words on pages now, and there are no more baked bean trauma meals to fart their ways out of my bleeding, fiery heart. Could be. Well, if something is dead, what is the first thing you do to check? Poke it with a stick. Yes, let's poke the Grim Salamander with a stick to see if it moves. The beast is asleep, but she has a happy, contented, peaceful smile on her, all curled up and snugly. It's nice to see her at peace. I guess she might just fly away when she wakes up and go tyrannize someone else's inner landscape for a bit. I can see her blowing, burping fire down from the sky, not meaning any harm, just for the fun of it, you understand. Dragons are such misunderstood creatures, you know. I think they just want to be left alone and do their thing. That's odd. The Grim Salamander seems to be sprouting 2 tiny little wings. He's quite a slippery little fellow, you know. I don't know about real salamanders, but this one has webbed feet, webbed hands, is currently black with a red streak up its back, and has big black eyes and now tiny little red wings. Blood red at the moment. I've looked in his eyes, and it seems that giving birth to those wings on his back was a painful business. Poor little guy. He looks like he's in a lot of pain and like he needs a poo, probably a lot of poos too. I don't think he was ready for his wings, poor guy. I can see him scurrying around all over the place in desperation. He is trying to escape the pain in his sides and back. Oh God, it's pretty harrowing. He didn't ask for this, you know. They just started to grow. And now he's running around everywhere, desperately frantic, desperate to escape the pain inside of himself. He is trying to leap away from the pain. Now he is rushing to water. He has seen a pond. His big black eyes are twisted with pain. He leaps, dives, jumps, fingers first into the pond. But she can't breathe underwater. Is there one Grim Salamander, or are there 2? There is one male one and one female one, but at the moment they are fused. They are trying to separate. I am trying to separate them. I am trying to pull them apart. They are stuck together. They are merged. They are fused. The Grim Salamander has been plural all along. I feel I must unstick them. One has a red streak. One has a yellow streak. One has a green streak. How many of these things are there? I don't know. They seem to be multiplying. 3 seems to be enough at the moment. A blue streaked one wants to come, but I don't have the energy to sustain a blue streaked one. Or do I? I feel sick. Me too. Me too. Aquos? Hi, how's it going? Yeah, not so good, mate. Can you help out a bit? Well, there are an awful lot of creatures invading my little pond here, dear. There's fish, scum, salamanders, a goat taking a bath. I don't know what's going on, mate. Screech! Eros? Eros open to commands. Can you help? That's a negative. I'm carrying many a fish at the moment. I need to drop some of these and splatter them around. Well, who can help then? Erthos has awakened. Erthos, son of Gaia. Gaia is the mother spirit of the earth, and Erthos is her material son. Erthos does the material bidding of Gaia. Erthos, son of Gaia, has awakened. Gaia is the soul of planet Earth. Gaia is the spirit, and we have been harming her. Erthos is pissed off. Erthos is mighty. Erthos is mighty pissed off. There is a distant rumble. I feel like something's top has just blown. Volcano! 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 Screech! Oh God! Fieros Eagle has been hit by a piece of falling lava. One of her wings is on fire. Screech! She is falling, tumbling. The pond! The pond! No! She has just hit outside the pond. She is dead. The pond! The fish! Aquos! It's getting mighty hot in here, old chaps. Mighty hot indeed. Fish are turning belly up. Steam is rising from the pond. Murr! Jim is up on his rock, pointing at the volcano. He has gone pre-verbal again, but his murr is saying, "Look what you have done! Look what you have done! Look what you have done! Look what you have done! Murrah!" Jim, the eagle is dead. The goat is dead. Aquos is dead. The fish are dead. The rats are dead. Fieros the volcano is smouldering. She is not finished, but she needs a rest. Aquos is dead. I can't believe it. Aquos! I thought he of all creatures would be safe. Erthos has spoken. Aquos is dead. Fieros Eagle is dead. Fieros Wilson is dead. Aquos is dead. There rose a tiny spark of crystalline light from each of the dead. Each tiny spark came together and formed into one large crystalline vibration high above the pond. They are all dead. The pond is dry. The volcano smoulders. Erthos rumbles. The crystalline light is stable. It seems indestructible. The crystalline structure of light, it hovers, giving out light and majesty, radiant, impenetrable. I cannot make it go away. It is always there. It does not move. It only glows and pulsates. Since it has been born, it must be able to die, but it is the closest thing we have to an embodiment of the eternal. It shines. It shines from within. They are all dead. All of them. Jim, he comes to marvel at the crystalline light. He goes back to his cave and sits, marveling, adoring, fascinated by this hovering, unchanging, stable crystal light. It fills him with life force. One day Jim will have to die, you know. I mean, Really die. No more rebirths. No more reincarnations. Udos is beginning to teach. Lessons of the Crystalline Light. Legends of the Psych Ward. The Tale of Fieros. The crystalline light is still there, renewing and renewing. If anything, it is growing brighter over time. Some people have come to pick at it with pickaxes. They seem to have broken off some chunks of something like a glowing orangey ore. Nowhere near as bright as the crystalline hovering light itself, but it was still worth it, wasn't it? I feel like the crystalline light has brought a sense of holiness to the cafe here today. I feel it weaving a crystalline spirituality through the aisles. I feel it lighting the white clouds out the clear window. I feel it whispering in all the shoppers' ears. I am the light of your soul. Follow me, follow me. I call to you. I hover here to guide you to me. Come back to where we are one. It's amazing how one day the moon can light the clouds against the pitch-black night and show them to be smoke, dark and foreboding, full of a malevolent unsolved murder. And the next day the sun can shine through the clouds, creating a vision that heaven lies in the sky at all times, that we all share the same sun. They are all dead, every memory, every character, and yet they live on. They pulse through everything, don't they? The spirit of Aquos pulses through the oceans, the rivers, the streams, the taps, the rain, the clouds, the bottles, the blood, the tears. The spirit of Aquos lives on. Life takes Fieros and his eagle, and life says, "You are dead, yet you may live on somewhere else." Monday, 30th of July, 2018, 4 p.m. Who knows how I will write the date tomorrow? Who knows? The clouds hover, changing tone from light to dark however they feel fit. Cars drive from left to right and right to left, always going somewhere. People walk, pick up items, put them into shopping trolleys. Trees rest, waiting for the next gust of wind, the next ray of sun, the next fall of rain. Children sit and shovel chips into their faces. People stand in queues waiting to be served. The cafe lady tidies up the mess someone else has left behind. A blue bottle fly tiptoes around on the window beside me, wondering how the sky became so solid. An old man with a magazine saunters by, maybe smiling, maybe not. Who can tell what old people really think, eh? Who can tell? Everything is here. Everything is right where I am. Do I have to leave? Do I have to stop? Do I have to die? The crystalline light pulses brighter. When there is no more dead wood left to burn, what fuel will I use? What will be the next new thing? Is this really the end? What comes next? What comes next indeed? I wonder. Eggs. Eggs. Thousands of them. Eggs. More eggs. Everything begins in an egg. Everything begins with an egg. Everything begins as an egg. Eggs. The shell of the egg of life cracks. What will emerge? You will have to wait and see. Will I? I don't know. Thur, 2nd Aug, 2018.73. Hello, loves. It is I, Aquos. Pleasant to be here again. I know that some of you were concerned about me being dead and all, but, well, what use would I be as an author if I were dead, eh? Eh? Not much. I am currently wearing a baseball cap to make sure my brains all stay in one place. I just thought that information might reassure you that my brains are unlikely to scatter off without warning. No. Firmly within my baseball cap they are. Brains. How many brains exactly? 3. 1 per salamander. Of course, life has happened quicker than I can keep up with again. So, everyone died. The volcano destroyed everyone. Everyone died, and it all happened so fast that no one even knew it was happening until it had happened. Everyone was dead, and Jim was back in his cave, wistfully ogling a blue crystal in the sky. Again, I thought it was the end on the last entry. I really did. I even cried a lot to prove it. I am made of water after all. I am a water-dwelling beast after all. I am annoyed at the book. I can't make it go away. I cannot destroy it. When I destroy it, it just grows back. I destroyed around 10 full refill pads worth of material. It keeps growing back. Some things resist destruction longer than others. Apparently William Blake lost a book that he had just finished writing when his house burned down. He then rewrote the book word for word. That idea, that story, that principle that some things want to stay, that principle has inspired many of my decisions. Ultimately, nothing of true value can be destroyed. I can hear those pickaxes trying to chip off more parts of the crystalline light. They are finding that the crystal has solidified, and their pickaxes are hardly making a mark on it. They're looking at each other and wondering, what the hell? Perhaps they should surrender. Give up and go home, pickaxes. That's what Jim is thinking anyway. Why don't you just leave it? Why do you always have to pick at things? Why can't you just accept it as it is? Always trying to knock off a chunk to take home, aren't you? Well, I like the crystal in its unchipped form. So, apparently, the crystalline light is made from souls of the dead inside me. Apparently. And apparently a volcano arose and erupted suddenly and blew its top. Presumably there was a mushroom cloud too, eh? There are 2 onions sat side by side in an orange net at home in the kitchen. I'm not doing it. I refuse. I do not negotiate with onion terrorists. I will not slather myself in onions just because a book tells me to. But you are the book. Oh, shush you. Who are you telling to shush? Both of our voices occur in your mind. Shush. All of you shush. How can we write a book if we are shushed? I'm not happy with it, this book. It is very demanding. I was not planning to write anything else. I'm not supposed to be here today. I'm not supposed to be here. This was supposed to be finished last year. I wrote all the way to Psych Ward 10. It was done. I did it. It was complete. I finished it already. Honestly, I am angry with the book. I don't like the way it pushes me around and starts writing itself in my head when I don't ask it to. It was supposed to be done. I even rang up my dad in December 2016 when I'd finished the first version of Psych Ward 3 and told him, it's finished. I did it. And he said, how do you know it's finished? And I said, I just know. Then I filled 7 more refill pads under the banner of Psych Ward. This thing wants to live, and I don't want it to live, and no amount of me trying to force it to end will actually end it. For example, I killed Fieros Eagle by setting her wings on fire from Fieros Volcano and sending her spinning to the ground, landing headfirst on the ground just outside the pond that could have quite easily broken her fall, put out the fire on her wing, and saved him. Why do people keep changing gender back and forth? Why not? Now Fieros Eagle is dead, charred, burned to a pile of blackened charcoal and grey ash on the ground, and yet I can sense that it is not the end for him. The crystalline light is pulsing. Can you feel it? It is pulsing from the right. The bird is dead. It will not be reborn. When things are dead, they are dead. This is what we are told. Nothing comes back from the dead. The dead cannot be raised. Once you are dead, you are dead. That is the end. That is what we are told. So why do I feel the spirit of life rising with each time I say, the bird is dead. The bird is gone. Fieros Eagle is dead. She will not be reborn. I am fighting the crystalline light. Some things just die. That is how it is. Some things just die and they are gone forever. The crystalline light is pulsing. I can see it sending its energy to the dead bird. The bird is dead. When you are dead, you do not come back alive. So why is she starting to vibrate? Why is she being lifted into the air by the crystalline light? Why has she suddenly been given breath? Why is her body regenerating into colour? No, I refuse to accept it. She is dead. I saw her die. She was hit by a falling piece of lava. It broke her wing. She couldn't fly. She spiraled out of control and she crash landed head first on the rock hard ground. She was still on fire when she died. The fire continued on, burning all her feathers, searing her flesh. The fire consumed her till she was just charcoal and ash. I saw it. She is dead. That is the case. I will not reanimate her. She is dead. Understand that she is not coming back alive. That is the end of Fieros Eagle. No, I refuse to give her rebirth as a phoenix. Oh God, I can't stop it. It's too powerful. I am no match for this spirit of life. I suppose you would like me to describe her rebirth now, wouldn't you? Well, that I can say no to. Just be happy to know that she has arisen and is a glorious technicolor phoenix inside me and is massive and is flapping her wings behind me at the moment. She is trying to claw into my shoulders. She wants to lift me away. She is big, like really big. Oh God, she is so powerful, but she is real. She is not indestructible. I can really feel how she is incredibly strong yet incredibly vulnerable too. I sense that she has organs that can fail like anyone else's. She seems indestructible, and I guess a part of her is, but it's not the part we can see. I just get the sense that she is very alive and real. She has yellow feathers and a multicolored plume on her head, and she seems to ripple technicolored patterns of light across her. I have the feeling she can change color too. She seems to be wanting to turn green at the moment, but I will not allow it. Why not? It takes energy to animate all these creatures, you know. At the moment she is looking through my eyes and her beak is squawking. She wants to look around through me. I think I will name her Colour Bird. The Grim Salamander, eh? I bet Colour Birds eat Grim Salamanders for breakfast. Whatever happened to Mr. Shouty, eh? I didn't want to come here today, you know, for what it's worth. I didn't want to come here. I was just reading at home. I even had a cup of tea waiting to be drunk. I didn't want to be here today. The book called me. I didn't want to come. It was supposed to be finished. The book called me here. The call was so strong, it made me angry to be so disrupted by its call. The book said, "It can't be the end. Everything happened too quickly for it to be the end. Besides, you bought the refill pad with the intention to fill it and that this would be the last one. You need to fill it. You also said it is what happens after the end that counts. You must make good on that promise. Also, you started multiplying Grim Salamanders just now. You can't leave a book like that. That is too suggestive of new beginnings, not a final solution." Maybe that's why Hitler had such a good stab at the history books, so he could try to keep them shut. I thought it was because maybe he wanted to be remembered, to make his mark. But maybe it was because he wanted to bring about the end to all the things he saw as a problem. The final solution. Don't blame Hitler, blame whoever wrote him into the book, I say. He could have been quite happy eating cheese. Amen. Let him eat cheese instead of trying for world domination. I could eat cheese, you know. So this is Psych Ward 4, the Grim Salamander. Welcome to the end, guys and girls. We've been through a lot together, haven't we? Haven't we? Well, I know I have. And it's all your fault. Why? Because. Why? Because you would not cease in asking me why this or that, so I had to tell you to shut up, bloody hell. So I had to tell you to shut you up, bloody hell. But I am still in the Marsh of 3. Okay, let's call it the Marsh of 3.75. I don't drink caffeinated coffee anymore. I haven't smoked in over 8 months. Okay, so I've had 3 cigarettes in that time, and one of them I didn't even finish. I couldn't handle it. It made me sick half the way through. I've still got the image of that volcano smouldering and all that carnage. I feel like we rushed through all that way too quickly. Like everybody died and it happened so suddenly. No one even knew there was a volcano before that. We were just getting used to the fact that there was Jim in his cave, and there was the pond. There was the fish who was learning to fly, well, trying to get his species to evolve to be able to fly. It was all going so well. Then all of a sudden, Earthos, son of Gaia, makes himself known, doing Gaia's bidding, and Earthos kills a whole book's worth of metaphors in one 30-second volcanic eruption out of nowhere, just as the Grim Salamander was multiplying. Just as we were starting to get to know Aquos the water-dwelling beast. Me! Just as you were getting to know me, I destroyed myself by boiling myself in a red-hot pond because of a volcano that I made erupt, because a character I invented was pissed off. It happened far too quickly, and it was like, well, where the hell did that come from? All the fish were doing so well. Jim, yes, had learned to talk. Jim had become self-aware. That happened too quickly for my liking too. That sprung out of nowhere. It was like all these new things were being born, and then suddenly a load of them were killed off by a volcano that had just been born, by the way. And then this pulsating crystalline light came all out of nowhere as well. That happened too quickly too. I wasn't happy that that had happened so fast either. The book also said, you can't have a book written by Aquos the water-dwelling beast if you then kill him off straight away. How can a book be written by a dead character? It makes no sense. You have to keep writing until it makes sense. You bought the refill pad with the intention to fill it, so you must fill it. I was not happy that I had been compelled by this force of nature this morning. I came here angry at the book that it needed filling. I came here pissed that the book would not leave me alone. I came here angry that the book called to me so strongly that I had to obey. I do not appreciate being bossed around by anyone or anything. I'm still not happy that the crystalline light showed up unannounced either. Sure, it's holy and sacred and powerful and spiritual, but it's also really bossy. It bosses me around. I'm not happy with it. I'm also not happy that those eggs showed up all of a sudden too, because now I'm going to have to write about them, aren't I, huh? Eggs. Yes, I'm going to have to write about them. I'm also going to have to write about the colour bird too. At least that bloody goat is dead. She can stay dead. Why is it that as soon as I say something is dead, it immediately becomes resurrected in its spiritual, glowing, magical essence inside me? Now I have the author, the sun, and the holy goat to deal with. Terrible jokes, I know, but seriously, there is now a holy goat inside me. Luckily, it's quite small, so... Oh, great, now it's just become giant. It is now outside Sainsbury's, walking down the A4 and grazing on whole trees as though they were tufts of grass. Great. This is almost as bad as the time that giant baby fell out of the sky and crashed into the sea while I was looking out at the vastness of it in Bournemouth one afternoon. Now, whenever I look at that part of the sea, and probably any stretch of sea, I just see a giant baby, big enough to fill the whole area I'm looking at. I suppose having a giant baby in the ocean is better than not having a giant baby in the ocean. It seems quite happy there. Similarly, I think that having a giant goat, a holy goat outside Sainsbury's, grazing on trees is not so bad, really. It's probably a good thing. I can't seem to make it go away either. I don't think sellotape is going to be of any use here, Stanley. Okay, so let's make a list. The beast, happy. Fieros eagle, dead but reborn as colour bird, powerful spiritual force of nature. Stanley, who the hell is Stanley anyway? The government, temporarily at bay. Jim, what? I'm in my cave, ogling the crystal, having a smoke. The Grim Salamander, found to have been plural all along and multiplying. Volcano, came out of nowhere, scary. The crystal, unsure if it's physical or not. The crystalline light, definitely not physical, a spiritual emanation of divine light, life force and energy. Aquos, hello dears, marvellous to be alive again. Sieros, what? I'm trying to sleep. Shh. Fieros reborn. I am the colour bird now. Budos, I am teaching. Earthos, a distant rumble. Gaia, breathing, resting, happier, but still pissed. Eros, awaiting commands, old chap. Eggs, thousands of them. Most are still and silent. 1 or 2 or 3 have cracks at the top. A few others are rustling in their nests. Someone is missing. Who is it? Fish! Let's talk about those grim salamanders, shall we? Surely they're all dead from the volcano too. Good. I feel like it's good that they should die, because then I don't have to write about them anymore. No one knew what they meant anyway, so why bother writing about them after they're dead, eh? Not much point, is there? I've just realised that we haven't actually spoken about the psych ward itself for ages. You might be forgiven for thinking it doesn't exist. Perhaps we have to travel back through the ether and come back down to Earth. Real Earth. Planet Earth. Here and now Earth. Reality. Here. We got stuck in the metaphoric realm for ages and ages there. Maybe we need to come back down to Earth. Maybe we need to solidify back into matter. Maybe my spirit soared too high, whirling in an upward whirlpool into the ether. Aquos Submarines needs to float back down to the seabed. Fieros Spacelines needs to coast back down to the landing strip. Sierros needs to wake back up and look around at where she actually is. All the mystical energies need to be pulled back in. Colorbird needs to be pulled back in. The holy goat needs to be sucked back in. I need to start living again. I need to live in the place that I am. I need to return to my body. I need to drop all the characters. I need to be Ross again. I need to be me again. I need to be where I am and sort my life out. It's all very well writing a mystical adventure story that reads like an acid trip, but this is my life we're talking about. My real life. At some point I have to live it. At some point I must return. At some point the shaman must leave his cave and share his revelations with the community and take his rightful place among the society that surrounds him. Jim the shaman? Really? Jim the non-violent Neanderthal. Jim the shaman. Ha! I can see it. He's wearing a stupid robe and carrying a stick with a piece of crystalline orange ore in the top. Well, I'll be damned. Jim the shaman. There she is. There who is? Jim the shaman. But you said it was a she. Oh, maybe that's why Jim's nutsack got caught in an icy crevice. It was all part of his transformational journey from a male non-violent Neanderthal to a female shaman. Shouldn't it be Shay Woman? Yes, you're right. Jim the Shay Woman. That sounds weird. Oh well, it feels like she should have another part too, like non-violent but something else to signify what she's about. Mystical. Jim the mystical Shay Woman. Maybe, but why is she called Jim if she's a woman? Jane. Ah, that sounds better. Jane sounds like sane. Yes, Jane the mystical Shay Woman. But are they still the same person? The outer appearance is different. The dress is different. The manifestation is different. But the core is still the same. I don't know about all this. I don't think Jim wants to be transformed into a woman. I am supposed to be coming back down to Earth. I don't like all this. It's all happening so suddenly. I don't like all these changes coming in. Jane the mystical cave woman? Maybe. I don't know. It's too much. You can't just fuck with a character like that. It's all going wrong. Everything is being turned upside down and I don't like it. Jane the mystical shame woman? I can't accept it. It's too big a change. First he was silent for ages and ages. Then in a split second he could talk and think. Now he's changed into a woman. I can't handle it. Now he's a she and she's a Shay woman. And you expect me to go along with that like nothing happened, like nothing has changed. And another thing, just saying Jim's a woman called Jane now, that doesn't make it so. That doesn't mean that she actually will agree to it in my soul. Okay, well fine, she does agree to it. I can see her smiling and nodding to say, yes, it's okay, I want this. You people have no respect for the author, I tell you that much. That's it. My mind is blown. The baseball cap did nothing. I'm going home. Jane, the mystical Shea woman? My life is over. Fuck this. I've gone too far. Saturday, the 4th of August, 2018. Costa Coffee, Langley, 12:09 p.m. Hi, it's me, Aquos. I'm not upset with you, it's just this book. It's big and unwieldy. I've already written it once before. I want to stop completely. I want you to promise me that this is the last book. I need this to be the last book. Are you listening? Yes. I need this to be the last book. Please register and accept this information. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm in a different place to usual. Normally when I write psych ward stuff, I'm in a Starbucks or the Sainsbury's cafe. I built up a psych ward feeling in 3 to 4 main places. Starbucks, Windsor. The King and Castle's pub, top floor, Windsor. Starbucks, Hounslow. Sainsbury's Cafe, Slough. I started writing the draft material in Starbucks, Hounslow. That is where the Grim Salamander made its first appearance. I would read out chunks of the material to another regular customer. He enjoyed it. I was slimmer then. I was also a smoker. Those were good times. Do you ever wonder if you will look back at this current period in your life and miss it? Do you ever wonder if you will look back at this current period in your life and think, those were good times? Each phase of life has a value. Each season has its own value and its own beauty. The mystery and wonder of life is all around you at all times, even in a psychiatric ward. The pulse of life throbs its presence through every moment. You can see this in your memories, and you can feel it now too. I personally find that autumn and winter bring the strongest, most intense connection with the ether and the divine crystalline mystery of God. My words become more potent and highly charged in the wane of autumn into winter. There's too much going on in summer to feel it usually. Summer represents the height of manifestation, the fullness of life. Winter represents the peak of the unmanifested, the depths of life. If you hadn't realised, this book has been about healing and transformation. Everything is always willing itself to grow, to change, to evolve. Life rushes forwards. Life rushes forward, onward, upward. Even in the deepest lows of depression, the stream of life still flows. In fact, this was the biggest problem I had when I was depressed. Life was urging me on. Life kept moving. Life rushed on, and I was too fucked to rush with it. I needed emotional rest. My family, however, just carried on, or tried to carry on, as normal. I must have been like a dead weight, dragging everyone to slow down and consider the feelings of life, not just rush through it in a blur of frenetic activity. I needed nothingness, emptiness, rest, pure openness, no interruptions on my flow of thought and feeling. I needed to just talk about my experiences. My family needed to play tennis and go swimming, eat 3 meals a day, play table tennis, go on bike rides and read books. When I was finally released from Ward 12, the first thing that happened was a family holiday in the south of France. This might sound like the perfect place for me to recover and recoup my energies, but from my perspective, what I most needed and craved for was to be at home in my bed where I could be safe and there were no emotional demands on me. I think you could possibly summarize a lot of mental health treatment approaches as other people know better. The doctors know better, the nurses know better, the social workers know better, the receptionist knows better, the system knows better, society knows better, the self-help gurus know better, the books on mental health know better, the therapists know better, Joe Blogs on the street knows better, your acquaintances know better, your friends know better, your family knows better. Well, what about me? What about the things I know about myself? What about the things I know I've been through? What about the feelings I know I am feeling? What about the things I know I need to feel better? Click. Doo. Life hung up on me. Life stopped listening to me. Life knew better. Now, what the hell are we going to do about Jane the Shea Woman, huh? She looks so different. She seems to be sparkling with magic. She seems excited and enthusiastic too. She seems happy. She also seems to be silent and non-verbal again. It's like she is talking, but it's behind a veil of silence, like she's trapped in a bubble that needs to burst. Well, let's not rush her. Maybe it's not a bubble. Maybe it's an egg. I missed Jim in his cave with the rats looking at his big toe on his right foot. That I could understand. That was real. That was clear. That moment was true. There was no veil, bubble, nor egg around that moment. Jim was real in that moment. Jim was clear. Jim was real. Did Jim actually have a sex change? Or have I mistaken Jane for Jim? Perhaps Jane is a separate person all of her own. Some of the salamanders are still stuck together. I am trying to prise them apart, but they're holding on to each other for grim life. I mean, I can see that they are obviously separate individual beings, but they are clutched onto each other so strongly that they basically are an enmeshed, knitted ball of salamander. There is a red one, a blue one, a green one, a yellow one, and an orange one. There wants to be a purple one, but I'm not quite ready for a purple one. I can't quite sustain a purple one inside me. The blue one still seems a bit powerful. They're making me feel sick again. Ugh, headache, damn salamanders, so slimy, so grim. Potato. Monday the 6th of August 2017, scratch that, 2018. Let's put an end to these damn salamanders once and for all. Let me set the scene. There is a medium-sized volcano, probably about the size of a large house. A small volcano would be about the size of a large dog. No shagging, please. A large volcano would be the size of a giant goat walking around on the road eating treetops and treading on Morris miners by accident. A giant volcano would be the size of a giant baby, but over in the distance, not right up close. And well, a mega giant volcano would be the size of a boulder at 0.1 centimeters away from your eyes. As in, it would be so big you would have to be on a spaceship to even know it was a volcano. Amen. So, let me set the scene. There is a medium-sized volcano. It has an open top because its top was recently blown when some spirit or other got pissed. In the open top there is a burning hot magma and or lava. I've never been able to tell the difference. The open top and its burning hot magma/lava looks like a pot of medium-sized cream of tomato soup, bubbling and steaming and sizzling. Now, let me introduce you to some characters. There are a load of black salamanders with millions of different streaks of colour on their back. These salamanders are all grim. When you put all of these separate swarming grim salamanders into one category, you call them the Grim Salamander. Understand? All of these separate colour-streaked black salamanders, when grouped together collectively, are referred to as the Grim Salamander. Okay? Yes, fine, carry on. Now let me introduce you to Colorbird. Colorbird is both an individual bird and the name for a type of bird in general. Colorbird is essentially made of light and colour. Colorbird is composed of coloured light. In that way, she is like a hologram, but a hologram that can interact with the world in all the usual ways. Colorbird is made of light that is moving so fast in so many directions and bumping into itself so hard that it has collided into the form of a solid light entity. Colorbird's body is made of light and colour. Colorbird's body is made of coloured light. Colorbird can vary the intensity of her light output to the world so that sometimes she appears translucent, glowing and ethereal, and sometimes she looks flat and grey, 2D and dead, static. But despite appearances, she is always, always, always made of glorious technicoloured light. Okay? Yes, fine. What else? Now we have 3 or 4 main elements at play. We have the world. The medium-sized volcano exists in the world. The medium-sized volcano has a name. The name's volcano, Fieros volcano. Colorbird eats salamanders for breakfast, lunch and or dinner, afternoon tea, brunch and or supper, and or a midnight snack. However, grim salamanders are particularly grim. Colorbird has been eating a few grim salamanders out of curiosity mainly. Colorbird has tried a few different colours of streaky grim salamander. Colorbird has found that, contrary to what one might think, the different coloured streaks don't affect the taste after all. They all taste grim. Not only does the grim salamander taste grim, but Colorbird is finding that the grim salamander overall, collectively you understand, is not that nutritious either. In fact, Colorbird has found after careful examination of her poor little tummy that the grim salamander is rather sickening, nauseating at best. Therefore, due to the sickening nature of the grim salamander, Colorbird has come to the conclusion that they must be disposed of, to protect other colorbirds from poisoning, you understand. No malice intended, no revenge sought at all. Nope, no revenge. No need to make the grim salamander pay for its crimes against the poor little tummy. Nope, no need for revenge whatsoever. Still, the sound each one makes as it drops, squealing from Colorbird's glowing, ethereal feet into the boiling hot tomato soup of magma of Fieros volcano is rather satisfying. Squeal, plop, psst. That's much better. Colorbird feels a little better every time she drops a wriggling, slippery, grim salamander, scourge of the book, into the destructive slop of Fieros volcano's open top. Ah, so refreshing. Singe, sizzle. Ah, goodbye, salamanders. Goodbye. Plop, squeal, singe. Ah, goodbye, poisonous little bitches. Pop. Ooh, one of their eyes burst as Colorbird picked it up with her piercing talons. Ah, ha, 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 ha. Of course, as satisfying as it is for Colorbird to carry these little squirming, writhing beasts to their sizzly doom inside Fieros Volcano's cauldron of death soup, as pleasurable as it is for Colorbird to fly to different heights and to drop the disgusting colour-streaked, black, poisonous, ugly, grim salamanders to their quick and ploppy hot doom, as satisfying as it is for Colorbird to pretend she dropped them by accident and get that secret pleasure from being naughty as well as evil, as deliciously pleasant as it is to smell that sniffy aroma of guilt-free salamander death soup, as pleasurable as it is for Colorbird to throw them up into the air from different angles, sometimes even from past the three-pointer line. I'll point these salamander motherfuckers, point them to their doom. Unfortunately, as satisfying as that day of destruction has been, Colorbird needs a rest, and the grim salamander is here to stay, continuing to multiply across the world whether we like it or not. There's only so much Colorbird can do by herself, you know. If I were her, I wouldn't bother. I'm off for a swim anyway. Want to join? Now, what on earth is the situation between you two? I'm a male. I'm a non-violent Neanderthal. I used to only say meh, but now I can say whatever I like. My name is Jim. I have no idea who that is. My name is Jane. I am a mystical Shea woman. I was created by the author, by you. I was created by you, across the water dwelling beast, in order to be a partner for Jim the non-violent Neanderthal. Oh yeah, I remember now. I think some people will be upset that I created you just to be a partner for Jim. Ha ha! Yeah, well, that's what you thought you were doing anyway. Ha ha ha! Oh dear, silly authors. Yeah, well, don't expect me to just fall in love with her and run off to the hills and make little cave babies with her just because you, across the water dwelling beast, created her. I was created by Ross Wilson. I don't have to obey you. Blast. Well, I'll just let them get on with it behind my back and see what happens. Or not. I mean, I should really be focusing on my breaststroke. Uh, 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 aquos, aquos, aquos. Every water-dwelling beast can dream, can't he? I tell you what. Eggs. Egbert. Eggs. Egbert and his eggs. Everything begins in an egg. Egg. No. That can be saved for another time. Another refill pad. Another author. Another space. Eros? Budos? Earthos? Sieros? They can also wait. I need to swim and play. So, what now? Well, I'm swimming. Less thinking, more swimming. I'm not a fish, you know. I mean, technically I could morph into a fish if I wanted, but I guess I'm more like a dolphin. And I wear glasses, but only so I can look snooty when I read stories. I tell you what. What? I tell you what. What? I tell you what. Epilogue. Full circle. I went back to Heatherwood Hospital, Ward 12, the psychiatric ward, a few years after I'd been set free. I went back because while I was there, I had pissed myself on the floor while protesting the fact that I shouldn't be there. Therefore, I wasn't going to use any of the facilities provided, including the toilet. I'm not sure I'd communicated the terms of the protest to any of the staff beforehand, however. So when the ward manager came along and saw me wet-trousered, sat in a puddle of my own protestful piss, she got me up off the floor, took me to my room, and got me a new set of clothes from a donated pile. Visitors and other inmates, or even charity shops and maybe staff, had donated clothes over the years to a spare clothes pile in a spare clothes bin. No potato peel in sight as far as I'm aware. I went back to Heatherwood Hospital, Ward 12, the psychiatric ward, to donate a set of clothes to the pile. I was changing my career direction away from running my small business as a guitar tutor and motivational speaker for teenagers. I had decided to fulfill a circle, without spunking into any magic salmon-filled sketchbook pages. I had decided to give a token of my gratitude to the ward. I had decided to face some old demons and revisit the ward. I had decided to complete a journey to the psych ward myself under my own steam, Bennett. I had decided to go to the psych ward by myself, in my car, no police van, no legal injunction to stay or be returned if I left. I actually felt scared that if I stayed there too long, I would be trapped and kept there again, but I decided I needed to go. I needed to walk in there a free being, a free man, a free agent, and I needed to ask the nurse to press the button for them to release the doors and for them to say yes, and for me to walk out of there a free being, a free agent, a free man. Anthony, the gay nurse, was the only staff member I recognized who still worked there. He greeted me. I told him that I was there to donate some clothes for the inpatients. I handed him my two-piece business suit, a navy suit with faint lines, a jacket and trousers. Still no potato in sight. I apologized to him for asking him out on a date one time when he was doing his "Are you feeling like you want to harm yourself or anyone else?" the standard daily checks. He said it was fine and not to be silly. I looked around the ward briefly. It was pretty much the same. Shuffling figures, people asking nurses at the door of the office for their cigarettes or lighter and being told yes or no, depending. I asked Anthony about Gavin, Gavin the paranoid schizophrenic. Gavin the paranoid schizophrenic who used to shout, "Sister, sister, Ward 10, Ward 10, he's a bad man, sister, sister, send him back to Ward 10. Anthony knew who I meant. Sadly, Gavin passed away, said Anthony. What? Did he die in here? I asked. Yeah, unfortunately that's the way it goes sometimes, bless his heart, said Anthony. I think I must have sighed. It only hit me later that Gavin's fate could have quite easily been my own. I had certainly felt like I was going to be kept on the ward forever, and that there was no way out for a long portion of my sectioned stay in 2008. I think that's partly what drove me to write this series in the first place. I didn't want Gavin to be forgotten. I wanted to make sure there was a meaning to all this madness. There is. I hope you can sense that there is a thread of meaning that winds its way through this series, and though much may be lost, something important still remains. I hope that you will sense this beautiful, grim and ugly, delicately fragile Grim Salamander, the meaning of life, wending its way through your own psych ward corridors, whatever and wherever they may be. But right now, I have done enough. The sky is clear, the sun is bright, the air is fresh, the water is flowing. Welcome. Here we are. Task complete. Ding! Thank you for reading. The author, Ross Alastair Wilson.